Chapter 892. Ningqing didn't even think about it, and immediately flew in front of the woman. This female cultivator wore a veil over her face, which not only covered her face but also concealed her aura and cultivation. As he approached, Ningqing looked at this female cultivator and felt that she was Shi Qianghua. However, even when he stood in front of her, she didn't feel anything. That's right, I should have changed my appearance to Jihe. Thinking of this, Ningqing quickly asked, "Do you know the sifting orchid star?" "Fuck off." With a shout, an extremely powerful domain-imposing aura pressed down on Ningqing, forcing him to take a dozen steps back before coming to a stop. Ningqing then saw the tall female cultivator standing next to the veiled female cultivator. He also knew this woman. Her name was Shi Yishuang. This woman seemed to like saying fuck off. In Peng Ruimei's words, she seemed to feel that her flesh was different from others. Wait, Shi Yishuang's surname was Shi, and she was from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. Coupled with Qianghua's surname, she had undergone 9 reincarnations. Was this Shi Yishuang Qianghua's younger sister? And this veiled woman was Qianghua? Ningqing couldn't care about it anymore and quickly walked over. "You're looking for death." Shi Yishuang raised her hand, and a red half-moon ring appeared over her head. At the same time, several female cultivators from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond came over. Powerful killing power gathered, and Ningqing suddenly woke up and calmed down in an instant. He was Jihe now, not Ningqing. Moreover, he couldn't clash with the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond right now. Even if Qianghua knew him, he couldn't acknowledge Shi Qianghua. The woman in front of him had a veil over her face, but she had no impression of the sifting orchid star. If the other party was truly Qianghua, she would never forget the sifting orchid star. Either she wasn't Qianghua, or someone had sealed her memory or taken it away. "What, are you bullying us with numbers?" Qi Shixingsing was a step behind Ningqing. Seeing Ningqing sneak attacked by Shi Yishuang, and surrounded by the people from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond, he immediately felt unhappy. Shi Yishuang didn't know who Qi Shixingsing was. Moreover, her side was much stronger than Qi Shixingsing. How could she fear Qi Shixingsing and Ningqing? "I'm just bullying you with numbers. You're not convinced? If you dare to stay here, I will immediately kill you. Let's see if I dare or not." Shi Yishuang sneered disdainfully and said in a mocking tone. He was just a rogue cultivator. He didn't know which sect he used to enter the Grand Essence mystic realm, but he still dared to talk to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. At that moment, more and more cultivators gathered outside the teleportation array. All of them gathered around to watch the show. All the cultivators who knew Shi Yishuang knew that she posed no threat. Since she said that she dared to kill Qi Shixingsing and Ningqing, then she truly meant it. Moreover, after killing him, there was no ripple at all. Qi Shixingsing's expression turned ugly. He, Qi Shixingsing, was the junior sect master of one of the top 10 major sections. When had he ever been looked down upon like this? "Isn't your 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond too overbearing? This place belongs to your 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond?" They couldn't let him stand here. If he stood here, he would still be killed. "Since I'm standing here today, it looks like I'm also going to die." Yan Xishuang's cold voice rang out as she stood beside Ningqing and Qi Shixingsing. Yan Xishuang and Shi Yishuang both had the word Shuang in their names, and both looked a bit cold. In Ningqing's view, they were 2 completely different types of coldness. Shi Yishuang always thought of herself as superior to others, while Yan Xishuang just had a cold personality. Seeing Yan Xishuang stand up, the disciples of the 7-star sacred shrine also stood up immediately, forming a vague confrontation. Shi Yishuang's expression turned ugly. She could look down on Ningqing and Qi Shixingsing, but she couldn't look down on Yan Xishuang. The 7-star sacred shrine wasn't only one of the top 10 sects, but it was also one of the top 3 sacred shrines. "Yan Xishuang, I just said that I killed 2 ants. What does this matter have to do with you? Do you want to shift the blame onto yourself?" Shi Yishuang spoke with an unhappy tone. Yan Xishuang showed a disdainful smile. "Killed 2 ants? I'm afraid that even if they stood in front of you and let you kill them, you wouldn't dare, right?" The red half-moon ring over Shi Yishuang's head suddenly buzzed, and bursts of killing intent overflowed from it. If Shi Yishuang had threatened Qi Shixingsing and Ningqing before, then because of Yan Xishuang's words, she truly wanted to kill them. If Ningqing didn't know Yan Xishuang's character, he would have thought that Yan Xishuang deliberately stirred up trouble. Qi Shixingsing, on seeing Shi Yishuang's killing intent, turned around and shouted to the crowd of cultivators, "I'm Profound Moon Spirit Gates Qi Shixingsing. Since I've been trapped in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm for 60,000 years, don't tell me my Profound Moon Spirit Gate doesn't have anyone left?" Junior Sect Master? Before Qi Shixingsing reported his name, everyone wasn't sure about it. But now that Qi Shixingsing said his name, the disciples of Profound Moon Spirit Gate immediately recognized him. In just a few breaths, more than a dozen cultivators flew over and landed in front of Qi Shixingsing before greeting him. Shi Yishuang's expressions turned ugly. She didn't expect that a random person would turn out to be the junior sect master of one of the top 10 sections. No matter how powerful she was, she wouldn't dare to say that she would kill Profound Essence Spirit Gates Qi Shixingsing in front of so many cultivators. Moreover, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond wasn't that powerful. Bitch, is the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond that great? Bah. Qi Shixingsing spat out in displeasure. Even if Shi Yishuang could endure it, she couldn't stand Qi Shixingsing's arrogance. What's more, she wasn't a person who could endure it. She had always been the one to look down on others. When did others call her a bitch to her face? Her domain opened up in a frenzy, and a great battle was about to break out. At this moment, a half-step Dao sculpting female cultivator standing behind Shi Yishuang stopped Shi Yishuang. "Junior apprentice Sister Yishuang, we can't start first." Shi Yishuang, who was still angry, calmed down a bit after hearing such a thing. Ningqing also stopped Qi Shixingsing in time. If it were any other sect, he would have helped Qi Shixingsing if he wanted to. But he was almost convinced that this was the place where Qianghua came from. No matter what, he couldn't afford to fight. If he really did that, it would only make things difficult for Qianghua in the future. Since both sides were stopped, a melee naturally wouldn't happen again. Qi Shixingsing had already been surrounded by the Profound Moon Spirit Gates cultivators, who asked him why he had been trapped for so many years. Ningcheng's gaze moved away from the female cultivator, with a veil over her face. He had to go to the 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond in the future, but not now. Regardless of whether the female cultivator with a veil over her face was Qianghua or not, he couldn't do anything about it right now. Qi Shixingsing finally explained the reason why he had been trapped in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm for 60,000 years. He then immediately ran to Ningcheng and patted Ningcheng on the shoulder to comfort him. The women from the 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond might be beautiful, but there's no need to care about them. After saying that, he glanced at Yan Xishuang, hinting that Yan Xishuang was much more beautiful than Shi Yishuang. Ningcheng smiled but didn't explain. In the next few days, more and more cultivators came here. Ningcheng also felt the pressure on the periphery growing. Under this kind of pressure, even cultivators who didn't know the way would take the initiative to come here. As more and more cultivators gathered at the teleportation array finally opened. Ningcheng counted and found that the number of cultivators who came here was far less than 10,000. From the looks of it, some of them died in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. Ningcheng also didn't see Xiongtsang, who had asked him to join them. Ningcheng didn't feel surprised that Xiongtsang didn't come out. Xiongtsang's strength was average, but he still wanted to rob the divine grasses. Maybe he had some trump cards on him, but how many of the cultivators who entered the Grand Essence Mystic Realm were simple? If you always walked by the river, your shoes would eventually get wet. Therefore, Ningcheng didn't expect him to die. Similarly, Ningcheng didn't see any of the cultivators who entered Pill Sage Minkong's medicinal garden with him. From the looks of it, that group of people had met with misfortune. The 9th prince didn't come out. A low voice sounded not far from Ningcheng. Ningcheng calmly looked over and saw several cultivators with a strong aura of seawater. At a glance, he could tell that they came from the Grand Essence Sea. The 9th prince had fallen in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. No matter what the reason was, no one would ask about it at this time. The Barbarian Dragon Clan had a Dao Perfection powerhouse. Even the sacred academies didn't want to have anything to do with this matter. After the teleportation array opened, Many cultivators teleported out. Ningcheng and Qi Shizingxing also followed the disciples of the profound moon spirit gate out. The place where Ningcheng teleported out was still the same place where Ningcheng had entered. A year ago, when Ningcheng entered this place, it had been a wilderness. Only the residences of the major sects remained here, and it wasn't very lively. A year later, Ningcheng teleported out, and this place had become much livelier. The wilderness had turned into a large public square, with 3 platforms for counting divine grasses placed in the middle of the public square. The residences of the major sects were around these 3 platforms for counting divine grasses, ready to receive the divine grasses or give out rewards. As soon as Qi Shizingxing came out, people from the profound moon spirit gate swarmed around him. Qi Shizingxing had been trapped in the mystic realm for 60,000 years, but he still managed to come out. This naturally made the profound moon spirit gate happy. Ningcheng knew that Qi Shizingxing had a lot to say to the sect, but he didn't go over to join in the fun. Instead, he stood quietly on the side. Several powerful spiritual consciousnesses swept over him before sweeping over again. Ningcheng looked calm on the surface. He didn't use his spiritual consciousness to find Man Huishan's location. Instead, he felt sure that Man Huishan was checking every cultivator who came out of the mystic realm. Moreover, Man Huishan should have already learned about the news of 9th Prince Manjuran's death in the Grand Essence mystic realm the moment the first batch of people teleported out. Even Qi Shizingxing would have most likely been scanned by Man Huishan's spiritual consciousness several times. Ningcheng felt more and more spiritual consciousnesses falling on him, which made him feel a little worried. He was a Dao sculpting pill emperor. Although he could use the characteristics of the form-changing pill and the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method to perfectly transform himself, he now faced a Dao essence powerhouse. Once discovered, it would be disastrous for him. After all, apart from Qi Shizingxing, he had no other cards. If Man Huishan wanted to take him away by force, he wouldn't even have the ability to resist. Chapter 893. Ji. Qi Shizingxing finally squeezed out of the encirclement and kept waving at Ningcheng. Shizingxing, is he the pill emperor Ji he who was trapped with you for 60,000 years? A woman with phoenix eyes followed Qi Shizingxing and asked Ningcheng. Although this female cultivator didn't extend her domain, Ningcheng could feel a majestic and powerful aura from her. This female cultivator with phoenix eyes most likely wasn't a Dao sculpting holy emperor. Instead, she might be a powerhouse that surpassed Dao sculpting holy emperors. Qi Shizingxing patted Ningcheng on the shoulder and said to the female cultivator with phoenix eyes, "Yes, he's Jihe, the one who experienced life and death with me." After that he said to Ningcheng, "Jihe, this is my elder sister Qi Yuling. Every time the Grand Essence mystic realm opens, my sister would come here to inquire about me. This time, I didn't let her down. I finally came out." Hearing Qi Shizingxing's words, Ningcheng understood that Qi Yuling cared a lot about Qi Shizingxing. Jihe greets Sister Yuling. Ningcheng quickly bowed. Qi Yuling showed a sincere smile on her face. "Jihe, thank you for accompanying 13 in the mystic realm for so many years. You will also be my younger brother in the future." "Yuling, who is this?" A man's deep voice arrived. At this time, Ningcheng felt very careful. As soon as the man came over, he saw him. This was a man who didn't look very old. He had long hair tied into a simple cultivator bun and wore purple robes. The skin on his face was a bit rough, and his eyebrows were thick. Moreover, the aura coming from him felt even stronger than Qi Yuling. Most likely, his cultivation was also higher than Qi Yuling's. "Big brother he's Jihe, a Tier 8 pill emperor from the Pill Association. He's a good friend of my younger brother 13. The two of them entered the mystic realm together, and this time, the two of them escaped together." Qi Yuling immediately showed a happy expression on her face when she saw the purple-robed man coming over. The purple-robed man smiled at Ningcheng and said, "So it's Pill Emperor Jihe. My name is Wei He, and I'm from the Grand Essence Domain's Battleshore Cliffs Wei clan. I welcome you and 13 to the Battleshore Cliff." Wei He had an excellent demeanor. At least, Ningcheng didn't feel a trace of disdain for rogue cultivators from his tone. Although Jihe was a level 8 alchemy emperor recognized by the Elixir Association, He was still a rogue cultivator. At this moment, all the cultivators who had not died in the mystic realm had basically been teleported out. Qi Yuling spoke to Ningcheng. 13 said that you want to compete in the mystic realm. Ningcheng nodded and said, yes, I want to see if I can get a spot in the Grand Essence Great Meet. Wei He spoke up from the side. I'm afraid it'll be difficult. Thousands of people entered the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. It won't be easy to rush into the top 10. He had been to the Grand Essence Mystic Realm before, so he naturally knew about the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. During normal times, the Grand Essence Mystic Realm exerted a tremendous world-suppressive force on cultivators. Don't look at Ning Cheng and Qi Shixingsing being trapped in the Mystic Realm for 60,000 years. But he felt sure that the two of them didn't search for 60,000-year-old divine grasses inside. Instead, he struggled to survive inside for 60,000 years. As for the harvest of divine grasses, he might not even be as good as some ordinary cultivators. I'm just trying my luck. Ningcheng smiled. Then go ahead. I wish you good luck, Qi Yuling said with a smile. Ningcheng signaled that he didn't need Qi Shixingsing to accompany him, and walked towards the middle of the public square alone. After talking to Qi Shixingsing, Qi Yuling and Wei He for a while, Ningcheng felt that the spiritual consciousness that had fallen on him had disappeared. Most likely, there was no longer any doubt about his identity as Ji He. Thousands of cultivators stood in front of the divine grasses counting platform. They came here purely to display the divine grasses they obtained, and then exchange them for spirit pills, Dao fruits, sect task points, spirit techniques and so on. Some even wanted to exchange for points from the Grand Essence ruins. But not many cultivators wanted to rush into the top 10 like Ningcheng. Most cultivators knew that with their abilities, even if they managed to reach the top 10 in terms of the number of divine grasses they obtained, they wouldn't be able to get any results in the Great Meet. Generally, cultivators with the same thoughts as Ningcheng wouldn't stand in front of the group, but on the side. At this time, the more divine grasses one displayed, the more likely one would be to win. Many cultivators had the same thoughts as Ningcheng, and didn't want to take out all the divine grasses they obtained. After all, 1/5 of the divine grasses taken out would end up in someone else's hands. The more divine grasses displayed, the more would disappear. An ordinary old man with a ruddy face stood up and landed in front of the 3 divine grasses counting platforms. He then cupped his fists and said, Dao friends who came out of the Grand Essence Mystic Realm, thank you for your hard work. I believe that everyone has gained something. The divine grasses handed over this time are the same as before. After the display and counting, you will have to hand over 1/5 of the divine grasses to the sect you represent. We will collect them on your behalf. The rest can be exchanged for the items you need at the sect you represent or at other sections. But remember, you can only exchange the divine grasses you display for items. This old man didn't have any Dao charm fluctuations. But when Ningcheng's gaze fell on this old man, he felt a sense of fear. He felt that this old man's cultivation was even higher than Man Huishan's. The first to hand over the divine grasses was a middle-aged female cultivator. She stood on the first divine grasses counting platform. Ningcheng noticed that after the cultivator counting the divine grasses checked the female cultivator's ring, a row of words appeared on the array formation display behind the platform. First place, Big Dipper 7 Peaks Wuxianjing, obtained 160 low-ranked divine grasses, 70 middle-ranked divine grasses, and 11 high-ranked divine grasses. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness fell on Wu Xuanjing's ring. Her ring didn't have any restrictions on it. Therefore, Ningcheng could easily see that when the cultivator counting the divine grasses counted her divine grasses and returned the ring to her, he also took away 1/5 of the divine grasses in her ring. Ningcheng guessed that this 1/5 wasn't just for the sect. A large part of it should have been given to the organization of the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. The sect should have benefited from Wu Xianjing, using the remaining 4/5 of the divine grasses to exchange for items with the sect. As more and more cultivators counted the divine grasses, the cultivator in the first place on the display screen had obtained 300 low-ranked divine grasses, 160 middle-ranked divine grasses, and 30 high-ranked divine grasses. Ningcheng watched for a long time, but didn't see anyone hand over anything more precious than high-ranked divine grasses. For example, Dao fruits, or treasures like the divine chalcedony Ningcheng obtained. With so many cultivators counting the divine grasses they obtained, it was impossible for none of them to obtain anything good. Most likely, even if they obtained something good, no one would take it out. The cultivator in charge of counting the divine grasses also acquiesced in this situation. Most of the cultivators who counted the divine grasses would take the rest of the divine grasses to their respective sects to exchange for items. Only a few rogue cultivators would choose to exchange for items with other sections. After half a day, there were only a few cultivators standing in line on the public square, counting the divine grasses. Some of the cultivators who wanted to snatch the top 10 also began to count the divine grasses they obtained. Ningcheng then looked at the huge display array formation. Behind the cultivator who harvested the most divine grasses, there were already 870 low-level divine grasses, 200 mid-level divine grasses, 70 high-level divine grasses, and a million-year-old golden flame beehive. Ningcheng secretly remembered the cultivator with the golden flame hive. He planned to exchange with this person later. His void-exploding golden wasps grew too slowly. Even now, they were only equivalent to Starry Sky Grade 2 demonic beasts, which was a pitifully low level. If he gave this hive to the void-exploding golden wasps, combined with his medicinal pills, he could help his void-exploding golden wasps advance to Starry Sky Grade 7 in a short time. Ningcheng didn't wait any longer. He took out 940 low-ranked divine grasses, 300 middle-ranked divine grasses, and 93 high-ranked divine grasses. As for divine chalcedony and Dao fruits, he didn't take out any of them. Moreover, the high-ranked divine grasses he took out were all ordinary. As for the high-rank ones, some of them were even comparable to Dao fruits. Ningcheng also didn't take them out. Jihe's name soon appeared in the first place on the Mystic Realm's Divine Grasses harvesting display screen, while the cultivator with the Golden Flame Hive ranked second. Although the Golden Flame Hive was precious, it had too many restrictions. Moreover, Ningcheng took out far more high-ranked and middle-ranked divine grasses than this cultivator. Naturally, he ranked first without exception. As soon as Jihe appeared, many people noticed him. Soon, the news of Jihe being trapped in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm for 60,000 years spread out. Kaishian not only did Jihe not die, but he also got first place. At the edge of the public square, a green-robed woman spoke up in a soft voice. Standing next to the green-robed woman was a female cultivator in a pink robe. She had fair skin, shoulder-length hair, and an oval face with willow leaf eyebrows. She looked very pretty. Even without the green-robed woman's words, the pink-robed female cultivator named Kaishian had already noticed Ningcheng. But she kept frowning and didn't know how to deal with this matter. Kaishian. Seeing the pink-robed female cultivator not answer her question, the green-robed woman reminded her again. Some things had to be faced. The pink-robed female cultivator recovered and slowly said, "He's just temporarily first. It's nothing." A deep voice came over. Kaishian, although Jihe is temporarily first, with the divine grasses he obtained in the Mystic Realm, it shouldn't be a problem for him to reach the top 10. Meitzen clan has never won a place in the Grand Essence Great Meet for so many years. Besides, since he can take out so many divine grasses, he must have left a lot on him. The pink-robed female cultivator was Jihe's fiancée, Tsin Kaishian, just as Ningcheng guessed. The Tsin clan had only taken a fancy to Jihe's talent in alchemy, which was why they promised to marry Jihe. Later, Jihe died in the Mystic Realm, and the Tsin clan had long since put this matter aside. Eldest uncle I know. But if I go to him, what would Hauge think? He would definitely feel uncomfortable in his heart. Tsin Kaishian bit her lip and looked at a middle-aged man walking over. The middle-aged man looked at Ningcheng's position and spoke in a low voice. Jihe has great potential. Despite being trapped in the Mystic Realm for tens of thousands of years, his foundation is still there. Moreover, he has a good relationship with profound moon spirit gates Qi Shizingsing. Although Guahauga is one of the 12 sacred children, I'm afraid he wouldn't put our Tsin clan in his eyes. It's hard to say how sincere he is with you. But Tsin Kaishian felt hesitant. Guahauga was indeed ugly. But if she had to choose, she would choose Guahauga without hesitation. A Tao companion of one of the 12 sacred children. Not to mention that Guahauga came from River Luo sacred sect. As for Jihe, he was a rigid alchemy machine that couldn't be any more rigid. Being with him didn't make her happy at all. Chapter 894. The middle-aged man sighed when he heard Xin Saichuan's hesitation. Maybe it's not about us choosing others, but whether others will care about this matter. That Jihe has been here for so long, it's impossible for him not to know that you're here. Yet he still hasn't come here to see you. Hearing this, Xin Kaixian suddenly realized something. No matter how dull Jihe was, he should have come to see her in this place. Why hadn't he come here yet? At this moment, the display of spiritual grasses came to an end. Ningcheng took 5th place with 940 low-ranked divine grasses, 300 mid-ranked divine grasses, and 93 high-ranked divine grasses. He also obtained a qualification card to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet. After Ningcheng handed over 1/5 of the divine grasses, he didn't plan to exchange the rest of the divine grasses for anything else. As a Tao sculpting pill deity, he naturally wanted more divine grasses. Some sects or individuals wanted to buy the extra divine grasses in Ningcheng's hands, but Ningcheng rejected them all. Some people even came to buy Ningcheng's qualification card to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet, but Ningcheng naturally rejected them. He paid so many divine grasses for this qualification card, so how could he give it away? Ningcheng put away the qualification card, and Qi Shixingsing came over with a smile. Congratulations on getting what you wanted. With your strength, you shouldn't have any problems entering the extraterritorial spirit spring. But there's one thing you need to do right now. What is it? Ningcheng looked at Qi Shixingsing in confusion. Qi Shixingsing smiled again and whispered, "Your fiancé Xin Kaixian is looking at you, which means that the Xin clan hasn't completely forgotten about you. Regardless of whether the Xin clan has forgotten about you or not, you haven't gone there since you came out of the mystic realm. It's a big problem. Whether it's an act or not, you should go there. Otherwise, it will only raise suspicions. You don't have to care about your fiancé. I've asked her about her. She and Guahauga, one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, have a good relationship. She doesn't care about your life or death." Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness followed the direction Qi Shixingsing pointed, and saw Xin Kaixian looking in his direction. He didn't want to talk nonsense with this woman, but he was still in danger. He couldn't let others doubt him over such a trivial matter. Just when Ningcheng was about to go over, his expression suddenly froze. "What's wrong?" Qi Shixingsing found something wrong with Ningcheng and quickly asked. "I saw Chu Bai of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. That kid didn't die. It looks like he has a few tricks up his sleeve." Ningcheng replied with a sound transmission. With the human face poison centipede chasing after him, he thought that Chu Bai and Huerqi must have been killed by the human face poison centipede. Only now did he realize that Chu Bai was still alive. It seemed that Huerqi was not necessarily dead. The Grand Essence's 12 sacred children all have their own trump cards. Maybe they could escape with just a talisman. It's normal that they didn't die. Qi Shixingsing explained with a sound transmission. Ningcheng nodded, and his spiritual consciousness swept through the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond again. But this time he didn't see the woman with the veil over her face. "I'm going over. You don't have to worry about it." Ningcheng motioned to Qi Shixingsing not to worry about him, and took the initiative to walk towards Xin Kaixian. "Remember, Jihe is a bit dull in front of his fiancé. Don't talk too much." Qi Shixingsing couldn't help but send a message behind Ningcheng. Ningcheng hadn't even reached the Xin clan station when the middle-aged man greeted him with a smile. "Jihe, it's a great joy that you can come out of the mystic realm again." "That's great. After this matter, you and Kaixian can go to the Xin clan's corner city to celebrate. In fact, Kaixian wanted to come to you a long time ago, but she was afraid that it would affect your display of divine grasses. That's why she waited until now." "Jihe greet Senior Taiha." Ningcheng quickly cupped his fists. Qi Shixingsing had already introduced some of the main figures of the Xin clan. This middle-aged male cultivator's name was Xin Taiha, Xin Saichuan's uncle. Xin Taiha saw Ningcheng's greeting, and was about to speak when he saw Ning Cheng's gaze fall on Sun Kaishian behind him. But before he could feel surprised, he heard a slightly soft voice. Kaishian, the Grand Essence Great Meet is about to begin. You and I will go to the Heaven Essence Sacred City first. I'll take you to the Heaven Essence Auction House to see if there's anything you like. As soon as Sun Taiha heard this voice, he didn't even need to look. His heart sank. He knew that Guahauga of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children had arrived. This Guahauga didn't come early or late. Instead, he came at such a good time. Sun Kaishian looked at Guahauga in surprise. She didn't expect Guahauga to treat her so gently today. Even if Guahauga had thin eyes and dark skin, he still looked very handsome in her eyes at this moment. No matter how many spiritual grasses he had, could he compare to Guahauga? River Luo Sacred Sect's disciple, one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. Ning Cheng's eyes showed a hint of disappointment as he stared at Sun Kaishian angrily. But in his heart, he felt relieved. Finally, he found an excuse to not come here. This he really didn't have a good eye. To think that he found such a fickle woman. However, Ning Cheng soon felt that something was wrong. Guahauga's gaze towards him seemed to contain a hint of provocation and ridicule. Seeing Guahauga take the initiative to hold Sun Saichuan's hand after he saw her, Ning Cheng instantly understood that this kid had deliberately come here to annoy him. In other words, even if I take your fiancé, what can you do to me? Seeing Sun Saichuan's happy expression, Ning Cheng guessed that Guahauga shouldn't have been this enthusiastic towards Sun Kaishian. It seems that Guahauga didn't come out of the mystic realm, because he felt the crisis of pursuing Sun Kaishian. That is, someone asked him to do this. He had just come out of the mystic realm. Moreover, he had always kept a low profile. How could he have any enemies? Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. Sure enough, he saw Shi Yishuang looking at him with a contemptuous look. Understanding that it was Shi Yishuang's ghost, Ning Cheng just sneered in his heart. He wasn't Jihe. He didn't care about Jihe's fiancé or anyone else. As for Shi Yishuang, he directly ignored her. His wife was Shi Qionghua, not Shi Yishuang. Sun Taiha looked at Ning Cheng and Guahauga awkwardly. At this moment, he didn't dare to say anything. Jihe could afford to offend him, but the Sun clan couldn't afford to offend any of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. You must be Jihe, right? Congratulations on getting a qualification card for the Grand Essence Great Meet. The Grand Essence Great Meet is very dangerous. It's not a place for children to play. I heard that you know Kaishian. Why don't I help you sell this qualification card? It's just a hot thing to hold in your hand. Guahauga saw Ning Cheng's gaze falling on him and spoke with a sarcastic tone. Sun Kaishian had long since sobered up from that happiness, but her face still looked a little ugly. In any case, she was still Jihe's fiancé. But now, she held hands with another man in front of her fiancé, which was a bit too much. She wanted to get rid of Guahauga's hand, but she also felt a little reluctant. Moreover, Guahauga also held on tightly. Seeing Guahauga's expression, Ning Cheng even wanted to laugh. He immediately thought of a person, Song Jiang from the water margin. Dark, short, and ugly. Ning Cheng wanted to ridicule him back, but when he thought of Jihe's stoic character, he gave up. Seeing Ning Cheng turn around and leave slowly, Sun Kaishian suddenly felt a sense of guilt and emptiness in her heart. Guahauga laughed. I'll also participate in this great meet. In case I meet you on the Heaven Essence Sacred City's battle stage, I promise to spare your life for Saichuan's sake. He had been entrusted by someone to ridicule Jihe. Otherwise, with his identity as one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, he wouldn't have done such a boring thing. As for Sun Kaishian, if he wanted to, he would have done it a long time ago. Ning Cheng stopped and looked at Guahauga with a smile. It's not your fault that you're ugly, but it's not right for you to scare people with your face. From this, you can see how much your father loves you. He didn't stick you to the wall at that moment, but gave you a way out. In just a short period of time, how could Guahauga hear Ning Cheng's classic swearing words? He had not yet reacted, when Ning Cheng suddenly looked up at the sky, and then looked at Guahauga with a smile and spoke. My heart is towards the bright moon, but the bright moon is also. Before he finished speaking, the smile on Ning Cheng's face instantly disappeared. He then turned around and quickly left. Guahauga was one of the 12 sacred children, and was nurtured by the River Luo sacred sect. Naturally, he wasn't a fool. Even if he hadn't experienced the classic swearing words from Earth, he still reacted after thinking about it for a long time. He never thought that someone could curse someone with such vicious words without any poison in them. You're looking for death. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Guahauga felt truly enraged by Ning Cheng's words, and his murderous aura suddenly overflowed. What, do you want to fight? I'll accompany you. Qi Shixingsing walked over when he saw Guahauga. Seeing Qi Shixingsing, Guahauga's anger suddenly calmed down. He wasn't afraid of Qi Shixingsing, but he didn't dare to fight here. Even if he was one of the 12 sacred children, he couldn't do it in this place. Seeing Guahauga not daring to continue, Qi Shixingsing snorted in disdain. He then patted Ning Cheng's shoulder and said with a smile, "Jihe, why didn't you finish that sentence just now? That sentence sounded beautiful, but what about the bright moon?" Ning Cheng pretended to sigh. "But the bright moon also shines on feces." Huh. Qi Shixingsing covered his stomach and laughed. He really didn't know how Ning Cheng thought of it. Thinking about Ning Cheng treating the 12 sacred children as feces, Qi Shixingsing couldn't help but laugh. Not only Qi Shixingsing, but even the people around him, who heard those words, also laughed. Guahauga's face turned livid with anger. He had already regarded Ning Cheng as a dead man in his heart. Even if Ning Cheng hid in the profound Moon Spirit Gate, as long as he dared to go to Heaven Essence Sacred City to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet, he would have a way to kill Ning Cheng. Knowing that he couldn't do anything to Ning Cheng here, Guahauga, who almost vomited blood out of anger, turned around and left. Sun Taihe looked at Guahauga's departing back inside. For him, even if Jihe wanted to return to the Tsin clan, he wouldn't dare to accept it. After offending Guahauga, would his Tsin clan dare to have anything to do with Jihe? Chapter 895. Jihe, I want to go back to the profound Moon God Gate. Why don't you come with me to the profound Moon God Gate, then? Ning Cheng interrupted Qi Shixingsing's words. I'm going to Heaven Essence Sacred City. You can go back first. 1 month later, if you have time, you can come to Heaven Essence Sacred City to watch my match. If you don't have time, I will come to Profound Moon Spirit Gate to look for you. Ning Cheng understood the meaning behind Qi Shixingsing's words. Moreover, Qi Shixingsing's scolding just now had brought him a lot of joy. However, it also exposed some things. Previously, even if Guahauga pointed at Jihe's nose and scolded him, he would probably have to swallow his anger. But now, not only did he curse back, he almost made Guahauga vomit blood. Ordinary people might think that Jihe's personality had changed after being trapped in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm for so many years. If it was someone with a heart, they would probably think more. Thinking about it, if he was really Jihe, being insulted by Guahauga while pointing at his nose, no matter how much he endured, his Dao heart would probably have problems. However, Ning Cheng wasn't Jihe. Jihe was a capable person, so he couldn't bear it. Furthermore, since he managed to escape with the help of the dead Jihe, he should help Jihe vent some of his anger. Qi Shixingsing wanted him to go to the Profound Moon Spirit Gate, because he didn't want any accidents to happen. Since Qi Shixingsing hadn't returned for a long time, Ning Cheng knew that he would have a lot of things to take care of once he returned. Besides, there was only 1 month left before the Grand Essence Great Meet. Taking advantage of this month, he might as well stay in Heaven Essence Sacred City and rest. Well, I'll rush to Heaven Essence Sacred City to meet you as soon as possible. Qi Shixingsing, on seeing Ning Cheng make up his mind, had no choice but to agree. The Heaven Essence Sacred City was the premier sacred city of the Grand Essence domain. No one would dare to do anything here, not even sneak around. Since Ning Cheng was in Heaven Essence Sacred City, there shouldn't be any danger. Therefore, Qi Shixingsing felt at ease. After separating from Qi Shixingsing, Ning Cheng found that the cultivator with the flame hive had long since left. Ning Cheng was not in a hurry. There were not many people who needed the golden flame hive, as this thing had limited uses. That cultivator also ranked in the top 10 for divine grasses. That fellow would definitely go to Heaven Essence Sacred City. As long as Ning Cheng went to Heaven Essence Sacred City, he would be able to find this person. His only worry was that the other party might have traded the golden flame beehive for something else. Ningcheng also didn't stay here for long. He brought out a flight-type weapon and rushed towards the Heaven Essence Sacred City. He had rushed to the Heaven Essence Sacred City alone to see if Man Huishan would notice anything wrong. If Man Huishan really chased after him, he would immediately activate the Breaking Boundary Talisman and leave this place. He did not have the qualifications to resist a primordial Dao expert. To Ningcheng's relief, not only did Man Huishan not chase after them, but even Guohaoge also didn't chase after them. A few days later, Ningcheng smoothly arrived at Heaven Essence Sacred City. This was the first time Ningcheng saw such a lively place after entering the Grand Essence realm. Even the Grand Essence Ruins public square wasn't as lively as the Heaven Essence Sacred City. Even before entering the city gates, the Holy City's periphery was already densely packed with cultivators. The Heaven Essence Sacred City looked like a floating city, surrounded by floating clouds. One couldn't even see the slightest trace of a defensive array at the edge of the sacred city. Ningcheng knew that these floating clouds and the edges of the hazy city were protected by top-grade array formations. He couldn't see any traces because his array Dao level wasn't high enough. After landing a few dozen miles away from the Heaven Essence Sacred City, Ningcheng put away the flight-type weapon. Outside the Heaven Essence Sacred City, there was no forbidden space restriction. In a place without any forbidden space restriction, Ningcheng didn't see a single person flying. As a middle-stage eternal cultivator, he naturally didn't dare to act rashly. He put away the flight-type weapon and walked into the Heaven Essence Sacred City, like the other cultivators on the White Jade Road. The closer he got to the Heaven Essence Sacred City, the more Ningcheng could feel the rich spirit qi. Ningcheng sighed in his heart. If he could live in such a sacred city for a long time, he would get twice the results with half the effort. He guessed that it wouldn't be easy to live in such a sacred city. After an incense stick worth of time, Ningcheng stood at the entrance of the Heaven Essence Sacred City. Above the city gate, for words floated in the void, Heaven Essence Sacred City. As for the entrance fee, Ningcheng paid 100 high-grade spirit crystals. This was the most expensive entrance fee Ningcheng had ever seen. Before coming here, Ningcheng worried about finding a place to live. After all, he had experienced this kind of thing too many times. Every time a big event was held, the rest stops were always the most tense. After entering the Heaven Essence Sacred City for a while, Ningcheng understood that his worries were true. At this time, in the Heaven Essence Sacred City, not to mention the rest stops, even the rest stops and restaurants were overcrowded with people. The sacred city was extremely spacious, and each street looked like a continuous public square. But no matter how spacious the streets were, one couldn't sleep or meditate on them. With Ningcheng's cultivation, it wouldn't be a problem for him to wander around the streets for a month. The Grand Essence Great Meet was coming soon, and he had to participate in the competition. Therefore, he naturally had to find a place to rest. He couldn't just wander around here for a month. Big brother Jihe, why are you here? Aren't you? A surprised voice sounded, and a female cultivator quickly appeared in front of Ningcheng. However, this female cultivator's surprise only lasted for a moment. After that, she seemed to feel a little abrupt and even lowered her head. This female cultivator wore a gray robe and had a fair complexion. She had thick eyebrows, but a trace of haze lingered between her eyebrows. She also looked a little tired. Although her appearance was pleasing to the eye, she wasn't as beautiful as Sun Kai-xian. Moreover, her cultivation wasn't high, only at the early stage eternal realm. But these were secondary. The main thing was that Ningcheng didn't know this female cultivator. Thinking that this scene was likely to be seen by others, Ningcheng immediately became anxious in his heart. If someone saw Jihe meeting an acquaintance but didn't know her, it wouldn't be a good thing. Ningcheng quickly showed a faint smile. It's been a long time. Let's find a place to have a cup of spiritual tea. Seeing Ningcheng's polite attitude, the female cultivator's eyes turned gloomy. She nodded and said, "Well, let's go to the Orchid Lake rest stop in front. The spiritual tea there is quite good." Okay. Ningcheng followed the female cultivator and quickly turned into a rest stop on the side of the street. Only then did he feel slightly relieved. Since this person was Jihe's acquaintance, He decided to explain it to her slowly. After the two entered the rest stop, they found that the rest stop was indeed overcrowded. Not to mention private booths, even the tables in the hall were few and far between. Big brother Ji-hee, let's sit over there. The female cultivator pointed to an empty seat in the corner of the hall. Ningqing bit his head and took the female cultivator to the rest stop's waiter. He directly grabbed a storage bag and put it in the waiter's hands. My friend and I have some urgent matters to attend to. We need a private booth. The waiter's spiritual consciousness swept through the storage bag that Ningqing gave him. With a twist of his hand, the storage bag disappeared without a trace. He then spoke with a smile on his face. 2 guests, please come with me. After Ningqing and the female cultivator were led to one of the elegant private booths by the waiter, Ningqing secretly sighed in his heart. This private booth is really the same as that ditch. Looks like when I go to the rest stop to find a room, I will have to use this method to squeeze in. After the waiter left, Ningqing activated the restrictions. But before he could speak, he heard the female cultivator speak out in a cold voice. You're not Ji-hee. Who the hell are you, and why are you pretending to be Ji-hee? Ningqing was startled. He had never encountered any problems since he pretended to be Ji-hee. Was this female cultivator Ji-hee's woman? Did he accidentally give himself away? At this moment, Ningqing even thought of silencing her. But the thought disappeared in a flash. He had used Ji-hee's identity to escape. If he wanted to kill Ji-hee's acquaintance, he would be worse than an animal. Not to mention killing someone in the Heaven Essence Sacred City? Did he even want to live? Ningqing quickly explained everything about him and Qi Shixingsing, as well as Ji-hee. He had pretended to be Ji-hee to escape. After listening to Ningqing's words, the female cultivator gave out a faint sigh, and her eyes showed a hint of sadness. Something really happened to big brother Ji-hee. After that, she stood up and turned back to Ningqing. You don't have to worry about it. I won't say anything about it. Ningqing felt a little worried that this female cultivator would say something about it. But when he heard her words, he said, This junior apprentice sister, you seem to have something on your mind. Although I've never met Ji-hee, he is Shixingsing's friend, and I'm also Shixingsing's friend. Now I have to use his identity. If you don't mind, you can tell me about your troubles. Maybe I can help you. When the female cultivator heard Ningqing's words, she hesitated for a long time. Not knowing what to say, her eyes lit up and said, Then I'll tell you about it. After that, she sat down again. An hour later, Ningqing finally understood what was going on. This female cultivator's name was Xian Xiao, Ji-hee's junior apprentice sister. Ji-hee also had a junior apprentice brother named Wu Qihong. The 3 of them had a master named Di Shueibua, a tier 6 pill king. Among the 3, Ji-hee had the strongest talent in alchemy. One time, Di Shueibua found a hidden divine herb garden. He took his 3 disciples into the divine herb garden, but he didn't expect to be discovered by others. While competing for the divine grasses, Di Shueibua and the other cultivator who tried to snatch them died together. Before Di Shueibua died, he gave his ring and all the divine grasses to Ji-hee. He asked Ji-hee to continue teaching and guiding his junior apprentice brother and junior apprentice sister. The divine grasses in the ring were to be divided equally among the 3 senior apprentice brother and junior apprentice sister, striving to become a pill emperor or even a pill deity as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, Ji-hee didn't listen to his master at all. Instead, he took a large number of divine grasses in the ring and left his junior apprentice brother and junior apprentice sister alone. Later, when Xian Xiao heard about Ji-hee, she learned that Ji-hee had already become a tier 8 pill emperor of the Grand Essence Domain's pill union. After Ji-hee left, Wu Qihong and Xian Xiao slowly came together and became dependent on each other. This time Wu Qihong suffered serious injuries, and Xian Xiao came here to help Wu Qihong ask for pills. She had inquired about Ji-hee and knew that Ji-hee was a pill emperor of the pill union, and had also fallen in the Grand Essence mystic realm. Although Ji-hee had taken the divine grasses and left the sect, Xian Xiao still hoped that Ji-hee could save Wu Qihong when she saw Ji-hee by chance, which led to the beginning of the scene. When Ningqing heard this, he felt a little dumbfounded. Sure enough, everyone had a dark side in their heart. If he hadn't met Xian Xiao, How could he have thought that Ji-hee, who had always been patient, would be so selfish? From Xianxiu's words, he even heard Xianxiu's secret love for senior apprentice brother Ji-hee. After Ji-hee left with the divine grasses, she left with her junior apprentice brother Ji-hee. Seeing Ningcheng in a daze, Xianxiu spoke up. In fact, junior apprentice brother Qihong and I didn't blame big brother Ji. Ningcheng stood up. Junior apprentice sister Xianxiu, I'm also an alchemy master. If you don't mind, you can call me senior apprentice brother. Let's go, I'll go with you to see junior apprentice brother Qihong's injuries. Chapter 896. Ningcheng had initially thought that Xianxiu and Wu Qihong would live in the worst rest stop. But what he didn't expect was that Xianxiu would take him directly to the largest rest stop in Heaven Essence Sacred City, the Star Stepping Tower. Xianxiu and Wu Qihong not only lived in the Star Stepping Tower, but also in the most luxurious room in the Star Stepping Tower. This place consisted of 3 cultivation rooms, an artifact crafting room, an alchemy room, a pet room, and a luxurious reception hall. As soon as they entered the room, rich spirit qi wrapped around their bodies, making them feel comfortable all over. Ningcheng knew about the prices in Heaven Essence Sacred City very well. How much did one have to pay to live in such a place? Ningcheng looked at Xianxiu and sighed. One really couldn't judge a person by their looks. Maybe it was because Xianxiu was an alchemy master that she was so rich. But in a place like Heaven Essence Sacred City, how could an alchemy master like Xianxiu earn spirit crystals? Xianxiu obviously saw Ningcheng's doubts. She showed a self-deprecating smile. Junior apprentice brother Qihong and I have always had a hard time cultivating. Not to mention living in such a luxurious rest stop. Even if we wanted to live in the most ordinary rest stop, we would have to think about it for a long time. Junior apprentice brother Qihong has been seriously injured for hundreds of years, and is about to fall. Thinking about how we have been living in fear, I gritted my teeth and took out all my spirit crystals to live in the best room in the Star Stepping Tower. Ningcheng could hear the bitterness in Xianxiu's words. An early-stage eternal cultivator, who mainly focused on alchemy, had to take care of a wounded person to survive in the Grand Essence domain. It naturally wasn't easy. Take me to see junior apprentice brother Qihong. Ningcheng didn't ask much and just said to Xianxiu. Xianxiu took Ningcheng to Wu Qihong's room, and Ningcheng saw Ji-hee's junior apprentice brother. At this time, Wu Qihong was sleeping on the bed with his eyes closed. He didn't even breathe. If Ningcheng hadn't felt a trace of aura from him, he would have thought that he was a dead man. Wu Qihong's face was black and bony, even thinner than Qi Shixingsing, who had just restored his corporeal body. Ningcheng was a Tao sculpting pill deity with an extremely powerful spiritual consciousness, and cultivated a spiritual consciousness cultivation method. When he saw Wu Qihong's appearance, he immediately understood that Wu Qihong's sea of consciousness had shattered, and that his vitality was about to dissipate. Not only that, but even his primordial spirit began to weaken. Ningcheng estimated that Wu Qihong would only be able to hold on for a few more days if he didn't try to save him. Xianxiu kept looking at Ningcheng's face, and when she saw Ningcheng frown, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Although she was holding on to the possibility, but she also knew what Ningcheng's frown represented. Big brother, I know about Qihong's injuries. If you didn't. Ningcheng knew what Xianxiu wanted to say, so he interrupted Xianxiu's words. Saving your junior apprentice brother is very troublesome, but it does not mean that it is impossible to save him. Not waiting for Ningcheng to finish, Xianxiu showed an incomparably happy expression. Even her voice trembled a little. Big brother, did you say that my junior apprentice brother can be saved? Ningcheng spoke up in an apologetic tone. I only said that it is possible. I can temporarily keep him alive for a month, but within a month, if I cannot come up with a way to save him, then I will be powerless. Oh right, you should still call me senior brother Kuei in the future to avoid suspicion. The person I offended is very powerful. The reason why he said those words was that Ningcheng could refine the Extreme Purging Wood Essence Pill. The Extreme Purging Wood Essence Pill's grade wasn't high, just a grade 9 Starry Sky medicinal pill. This medicinal pill could prolong and increase a cultivator's vitality, which was suitable for Wu Qihong. More importantly, Ning Cheng had the main spiritual object needed to refine the extreme purging wood essence pill, the wood origin qi from the wood origin crystal. The extreme purging wood essence pill could keep Wu Qihong's vitality for a month. But Ning Cheng was about to open Pill Sage Minkong's bracelet. Pill Sage Minkong was a top-grade pill sage. After opening his bracelet, who could be sure that there was no way to repair one's sea of consciousness? Big Brother Kuei, whether Qihong can survive or not, I will always remember Big Brother's life-saving grace. Xian Xiu almost bowed to the ground. She still addressed Ning Cheng as Big Brother Kuei and not as Senior Brother. I'm going to refine the pill immediately. After I refine the extreme purging wood essence pill, quickly give it to Junior Apprentice Brother Qihong. Ning Cheng let Xian Xiu get up and said. Xian Xiu stared at Ning Cheng with wide eyes and said in disbelief. Big Brother Kuei, are you a grade 9 pill emperor? Ning Cheng nodded with a smile. In fact, he had already advanced to the Dao sculpting pill deity realm while studying artifact crafting. No. Xian Xiu seemed to have suddenly thought of something and called out again. The rent I paid here is due in 1 day, but... Ning Cheng looked at Xian Xiu's expression and understood that Xian Xiu didn't have any spirit crystals on her. Since they finally found a place to live, Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't let Xian Xiu move away. He quickly asked, how many spirit crystals a day? 10,000 high-grade spirit crystals. Xian Xiu hesitated. She thought that her junior apprentice brother would die, which was why she decided to live in such a good place before her junior apprentice brother died. Deep in her heart, she also had the thought of living in a place rich in spirit qi. Maybe her junior apprentice brother's life force would suddenly shine. After living here for more than half a year, she had used up all the spirit crystals she had accumulated over the years. Ning Cheng couldn't help but feel that it was expensive. 10,000 high-grade spirit crystals a day. If he hadn't robbed the 9th prince's follower, he would only have enough spirit crystals to live here for a few months. Don't worry about it. Ning Cheng took out a storage bag and said, you can go down and renew the rent for 2 months. You can keep the rest of the spirit crystals. Ning Cheng had nearly 10 million high-grade spirit crystals on him, and this storage bag contained 1 million high-grade spirit crystals. Even if he rented it for 2 months, he would still have to pay 400,000 more. Xian Xiu didn't remain polite. At this time, politeness was useless. Her junior apprentice brother's life was the most important thing. After Xian Xiu went down to renew the rent, Ning Cheng directly started refining pills in Wu Qihong's room. In just an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng finished refining a furnace of extreme purging wood essence pills. Putting away the pill furnace, Ning Cheng took out an extreme purging wood essence pill and put it into Wu Qihong's mouth. A rich life force instantly radiated from Wu Qihong's body. Although he hadn't opened his eyes, Wu Qihong's originally lifeless body now had a lot more life force. Ning Cheng felt very satisfied. This extreme purging wood essence pill could definitely extend Wu Qihong's life force for 1 to 2 months. If he couldn't find a way to save Wu Qihong after such a long time, then Wu Qihong would have no choice but to accept his fate. Walking out of Wu Qihong's room, Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong. Xian Xiu had just gone down to renew a room, so why hadn't she come back up after such a long time? Just as he thought about it, Xian Xiu came up. There was a red mark on her face, indicating that someone had slapped her. What's going on? Ning Cheng asked. Xian Xiu shook her head and handed over the storage bag given to her by Ning Cheng. They don't want to renew the lease. They said that this place has already been rented to someone else. We will move out in a day. Ning Cheng sneered and didn't take the storage bag from Xian Xiu. Instead, he said to Xian Xiu, you come down with me. It wasn't the first time Ning Cheng had stayed in a rest stop or an immortal cave. Therefore, he also knew some of the rules. As long as the guest doesn't owe rent, doesn't take the initiative to leave, and doesn't cause any loss to the inn, everyone knew that the inn didn't have the right to chase away the guests. Now that Xian Xiu wanted to leave, it was obvious that she was easy to bully. At this time, the rest stop was at its most crowded. Therefore, the purpose of driving away Xian Xiu was obvious. There were a lot of people in the lobby of the rest stop, and there were two cultivators laughing in front of the rental counter. "What's wrong? Are you going to check out now?" A shop assistant behind the counter saw Xi and Xiao coming over, and spoke with a disdainful tone. Xi and Xiao didn't speak, but Ningqing walked over and asked in a warm tone, "Excuse me, are there any rules about the room rental in this rest stop? Are you blind? Isn't it?" When the shop assistant saw Ningqing and Xi and Xiao coming over together, he thought that Ningqing wanted to defend Xi and Xiao. But now that he saw Ningqing's respectful tone, how could he remain polite? He had a lot of experience dealing with rogue cultivators without any confidence. He had to be strong and let the other party know that they couldn't afford to offend him. Ningqing's gaze fell on the rules, and in just a few breaths, he had already read through the hundreds of rules. Then he looked at the shop assistant with a smile and asked, "Excuse me, did you hit my junior apprentice sister just now?" "Yes, it was Grandpa who hit." Before the shop assistant could finish his words, he felt his entire body stagnate, and then his body stiffened. When he saw that Ningqing had bound him with his domain and grabbed him by the neck, he immediately panicked. Not waiting for the shop assistant to beg for mercy, Ningqing's illusory celestial essence palm print landed on the shop assistant's face. Slap, 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 slap. With just a dozen slaps, the shop assistant's face started to bleed. However, not a single drop of blood or tooth spilled out. Instead, it dripped down the shop assistant's chin like water droplets. "Stop!" An angry voice arrived, followed by a more powerful domain suppressing Ningqing's body. Ningqing opened his hand and threw the shop assistant to the corner of the counter. Only then did he calmly turn around. The one who came over was a middle-aged male cultivator with a tall stature and slender eyes. He hadn't even walked over when a powerful domain's imposing aura descended. However, he didn't start immediately. Instead, he stared at Ningqing and said, "Who is this Dao friend? Why are you beating my Star Stepping Tower's shop assistant here?" Although this middle-aged male cultivator hadn't started, his murderous aura had already spread out, causing the surrounding cultivators to give way. Everyone understood what this middle-aged male cultivator meant. That is, after Ningqing finished answering, he would immediately take him down. Or rather, this middle-aged male cultivator was also waiting for Ningqing to reveal his backing. Anyone who dared to beat people in this place most likely had some backing. Heaven Essence Sacred City didn't allow killing, but it was established under certain conditions. Since Ningqing beat up a shop assistant in Heaven Essence's premier rest stop like this, even if he killed him on the spot, it wouldn't be a problem. Ningqing cupped his fist towards this middle-aged male cultivator and said, "This shop assistant asked me to hit him, so I did it." "You're talking nonsense. There are so many people here. When did I ask you to hit me?" The shop assistant's face looked like a rag, but he didn't suffer any serious injuries. Therefore, after hearing Ningqing's words, he immediately stood up and yelled at him. Chapter 897. Ningqing pointed to the rules above and said, Article 61 of the Star Stepping Tower's lease. Before the guest checks out or owes the rent, the right to use the room belongs to the guest. Under no special circumstances, the guest has the first right to renew the lease. Article 75 states that if the rest stop makes rude demands on the guest can protest in their own way. This guy made 2 rules in a row, so I protested in my own way. My way is simple. It's just a slap in the face. By the way, this guy told me about this rule. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have known about these 2 rules. My guess is that he knowingly violated it, so he deserved a beating. The middle-aged male cultivator frowned when he heard Ningqing's words. He stared at the guy coldly and asked, "What the hell is going on?" Xi and Xiao had seen this middle-aged male cultivator before and knew that he was a deacon of the Star Stepping Tower. She felt anxious and didn't wait for the guy to answer. She took the initiative to speak up. "I wanted to renew the lease, but he didn't allow me to. That's why this happened." This guy was just a middle-stage eternal cultivator. Xi and Xiao had lived here for more than half a year with a wounded person. He naturally knew that Xi and Xiao wasn't a rogue cultivator who could be bullied at will. But he didn't expect that Ningqing and Xi and Xiao would come out together, dare to beat him, and even make things worse. The guy stammered, but the middle-aged male cultivator already understood what was going on. It seems that this man and woman were telling the truth. But even if it was true, he wouldn't let it go so easily since they dared to beat up a guy in the star-stepping tower. My star-stepping tower has been in Heaven Essence Sacred City for tens of thousands of years, and we have always put our credibility first. As for the renewal of the lease, as long as you don't owe the rent, there won't be any problems. However, guests can use their own way, but it doesn't mean that you can hit people in my star-stepping tower. The middle-aged male cultivator's tone suddenly turned cold, and a sharp murderous intent rushed towards Ning Cheng and Xian Xiu. Xian Xiu had low cultivation, so when this murderous intent invaded her, she couldn't help but shiver. Ning Cheng raised his hand and waved away the murderous intent. He then spoke with a similarly cold tone. So, only your star-stepping towers guy is allowed to hit us, and we're not allowed to fight back. My star-stepping towers guy hit you? The middle-aged male cultivator frowned suddenly. He had a hunch that this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. Xian Xiu quickly said, "Yes, I'm here to renew the lease." Not only did this guy not allow me to renew the lease, he even scolded me and slapped me. Seeing the middle-aged male cultivator's fierce gaze sweep over, the shop assistant couldn't help but shiver. He simply couldn't deny this kind of thing. There were many people in the hall, and could easily find witnesses. Deacon Huang, yes. The shop assistant stuttered for a long time, but he couldn't say anything. Deacon Huang, the middle-aged male cultivator, the brows to deaf deg stepping Cheng. Dito Saint deaf saint, the saint tower master. Cheng en dong. To da to of to saint, stepping saint star saint to two. Cheng to saint to of minister. To Cheng Ling King saint. Sacred Sunji glanced at Ning Cheng and Xian Xiu before speaking to Deacon Huang. Deacon Huang, if you want to blame someone, then blame me. This fellow is just helping me. Tion. 2. Star. To stepping I room I. Now that I'm back in Heaven Essence Sacred City, I want to stay in this room again. Deacon Huang instantly understood that the troublemaking man and woman must have stayed in the First Region's 6th room. Since the man didn't allow the female cultivator to renew the lease, it most likely meant that her lease was up, and the man wanted to give up the room to Ji Pingzhong. Ji Pingzhong was the 4th-ranked powerhouse among the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. Not only did he have outstanding strength, but he also had a powerful force behind him. As a small deacon, he couldn't afford to offend him. Thinking of this, Deacon Huang turned his gaze to Ning Cheng. This guest, if you are willing to move out of the First Region's 6th room, I will refund you double the previous rent. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. He knew that he couldn't stay here anymore. He could beat up a man, but if he fought with a deacon here, he wouldn't be able to leave. This Deacon Huang definitely didn't know that Xian Xiu had stayed here for more than half a year. Let's see his face when he refunded double the rent. Ning Cheng didn't continue to talk about renewing the lease. Instead, he directly said, "Okay, we can return it now. We can move out tomorrow. Give them a refund of double the spirit crystals. Put it on my head." Deacon Huang shouted at the man. The man spoke up with a trembling voice. "She's been here for more than half a year. Double the spirit crystals means more than 5 million. What? Deacon Huang almost vomited blood. More than 5 million spirit crystals. Even he would suffer a huge loss. What's more, the Grand Essence Great Meet was about to begin, which meant that all kinds of good things would pour into the sacred city. He needed a lot of spirit crystals. How could he give away so many at once? Deacon Huang really wanted Ji Pingzhong to stand up and say that he would pay for these spirit crystals. However, Ji Pingzhong didn't even bother to move. Apparently, he didn't want to. Or he didn't put Deacon Huang in his eyes at all. "This Dao friend, you've been staying here for too long. I can only refund you 10 days' worth of rent. What do you think?" Even if it meant slapping his own face, Deacon Huang wouldn't agree to pay Ning Cheng 5 million spirit crystals. Ning Cheng sneered. "It looks like the star-stepping tower only bullies its guests. Promises are like farts. It's a place that puts on airs. If you don't have the ability to do it, then don't hang up a rule to disgust people." Ning Cheng couldn't afford to eat the loss in front of him. Therefore, he decided to leave this place with Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong. One day in the future, he would come back to take revenge. This Deacon Huang had long been unhappy with Ningcheng. Now that Ningcheng showed such impoliteness, he made up his mind to teach Ningcheng a lesson. But before he could even open his mouth to teach Ningcheng a lesson, a cold voice appeared in the hall. My star-stepping tower has always put the customers first, and we always aim to make our guests feel at home. We never bully our customers or make careless promises. Since the star-stepping tower has set up this rule, it is no different from the laws of the country. As long as you fulfill the rent obligation, any customer here will enjoy the rights stipulated in the rules. Ningcheng froze. Why did this sentence sound so familiar? He even felt like he was talking to an earthling. Except for Earth, the word law had always been replaced by law in the places he had been to. Not only that, but even the words customers, obligations, and rights sounded both familiar and strange at the same time. But these thoughts quickly disappeared from Ningcheng's mind. He then saw a black-robed woman with a veil over her face suddenly appear in the hall. But to Ningcheng's horror, he couldn't see this black-robed woman's cultivation at all. This woman's aura was even more terrifying than Man Huishan's. It could even be described as vast as the sea. A rest stop unexpectedly had such a terrifying expert. Ningcheng felt sure that if this woman wanted to kill him, she could even lift her little finger. May I ask who this senior is? In the face of such a powerhouse, Ningcheng didn't dare to make the slightest mistake. The black-robed woman spoke with a calm voice. My surname is Nia, and I own this rest stop. Tell me about the conflict just now in detail. Ningcheng didn't exaggerate or downplay it. Instead, he recounted everything that had happened just now. After the black-robed woman heard Ningcheng's words, she glanced at Deacon Huang and the shop assistant with cold eyes and said in a cold tone, Get out of the star-stepping tower now. You will no longer be my star-stepping tower's people in the future. After that, she turned to another shop assistant and said, Help these two customers with the rental renewal procedures. Everything will be done according to the rules. Ningcheng didn't expect things to be so simple. Deacon Huang and the shop assistant, who had been beaten by him, didn't even dare to say half a word and quickly withdrew from the rest stop. Saint Sun Ji frowned slightly before stepping forward and speaking with cupped fists. Desolate Spirit Palace's Ji Pingzhong greets Senior Nia. What's the matter? The black-robed woman's tone softened a bit. Ji Pingzhong felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Facing the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, a rest stop's owner shouldn't speak in such a flat tone. Not to mention someone from the Desolate Spirit Palace. I want to stay in the Star-Stepping Tower's First Region's 6th room. Without waiting for Lieutenant General Ji Pingzhong to finish, the black-robed woman spoke up with a calm voice. Since you want to check in, go to the counter to go through the formalities. You don't have to tell me about this kind of thing. Ji Pingzhong took in a deep breath and looked at Ningcheng with a slightly stiff tone. The First Region's 6th room is the room they want to renew. When Ningcheng explained the reason, he didn't drag Ji Pingzhong into it. He understood that the smaller the forces involved, the more beneficial it would be for him. Now that Ji Pingzhong spoke those words, the black-robed woman instantly understood why Deacon Huang wanted Ningcheng to check out. She then looked at Ji Pingzhong, and the calmness in her eyes disappeared without a trace. Her tone turned cold once again. Get lost. No one can drive away my star-stepping tower's guest. Ji Pingzhong's expression changed. No one had ever dared to tell him to get lost in front of him. His face turned pale, and he cupped his hands towards the black-robed woman again. I will bring Senior's words back to my Desolate Spirit Palace. The black-robed woman stared at Ji Pingzhong coldly. If you don't get lost, I will cripple your legs. Ji Pingzhong didn't dare to continue, and walked out of the star-stepping tower with a livid face. Ningcheng was just about to thank the black-robed woman when he found that the black-robed woman had already disappeared without a trace. Even he didn't know when this black-robed woman disappeared. The surrounding space didn't fluctuate at all. It was as if the air had disappeared. At this moment, Ningcheng didn't want to live here anymore. This black-robed woman was too terrifying. If he did something in the room, could he hide it from this woman? He looked back and saw that Xi and Xiao had already renewed the lease for 2 months. He had no choice but to say, let's go up. If there's nothing else, try not to come out. After returning to his room, Ningqing sat quietly for a long time. He even wondered if this woman surnamed Nia came from Earth like him. However, that female cultivator's terrifying strength dispelled his doubts. Just in case, Ningqing repeatedly set up dozens of restrictions in his room, and then arranged more than a dozen array formations. Only then did he calm down a little. Nevertheless, he didn't intend to expose any information about the mysterious yellow bead in his room. There was still a month before the great meet, and he still had a lot of things to do. In addition to cracking Pill Sage Minkong's bracelet, he also had a strand of spiritual consciousness that didn't belong to him in his sea of consciousness. He had to get rid of this strand of spiritual consciousness. Chapter 898. Ding Dang. A slight crisp sound rang out, and Ningqing felt happy. He had finally managed to open Pill Sage Minkong's bracelet. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness fell into the spacious bracelet, and when he saw what was inside, he suddenly felt dumbfounded. He had thought that Minkong, as a top-grade Tao Essence Pill Sage, would have mountains of spirit crystals in his storage bracelet. Moreover, there were even rows of divine herb gardens, and even rows of Tao fruit trees filled with Tao fruits. But the truth was that Pill Sage Minkong's bracelet didn't contain a single Tao fruit tree, not a single Tao fruit tree, or even the worst divine grass. There were also very few spirit crystals, not even as many as he had. Ningqing estimated that it wouldn't exceed 10 million at most. There was also a pile of medicinal pills, but all of them were waste pills. As for weapons, materials, and other things, Ningqing didn't see any of them. Apart from less than 10 million spirit crystals and piles of waste pills, Ningqing only saw a pile of jade strips scattered to the side. No, Ningqing grabbed the bracelet in his hand and immediately understood what was going on. No matter how poor Pill Sage Minkong was, he wouldn't have so few things. This bracelet wasn't where Pill Sage Minkong stored his treasures. Pill Sage Minkong definitely had another storage item, just like his true spirit world, or the mysterious yellow bead hidden in his sea of consciousness. Such a storage treasure most likely resided in the deepest part of Pill Sage Minkong's sea of consciousness. It's just that Ningqing respected Pill Sage Minkong, and didn't touch Pill Sage Minkong's body. Ningqing sighed. It seemed that he didn't have this opportunity. Or perhaps Pill Sage Minkong's bracelet was just a cover. Using a ring was much more convenient than a bracelet. Apart from some female cultivators who used bracelets, few people would willingly use bracelets. These old demons, who had lived for countless years, were truly astute. A dead person's belongings wouldn't fall into the hands of others. Maybe Pill Sage Minkong didn't even die, and his essence spirit escaped with the real storage device. After putting the spirit crystals in the storage bracelet into his ring, Ningqing took out the pile of jade strips. Picking up the first jade strip, Ningqing saw the steps to synthesize a pill recipe and alchemy insights. Although he admired Pill Sage Minkong's learning attitude, Ningqing didn't have the slightest interest in such things. With just a quick glance, he tossed the jade slip aside and picked up the second jade slip. The second jade slip was the same as the first jade slip. It was still alchemy insights and experiences. The third, the fourth, originally, Ningqing was looking at one of them before throwing them away. But when he saw the 60th one, he immediately felt that something was wrong. Pill Sage Minkong's pill refining deduction and understanding were all about a single pill recipe. Moreover, it was a pill recipe that could strengthen one's sea of consciousness. Although this jade strip didn't mention anything about divine chalcedony, Ningqing understood that this pill recipe had something to do with divine chalcedony. Since it was related to divine chalcedony, it was definitely an elixir recipe similar to the spirit essence pill. Ningqing had heard from Qi Shixingsing that the pill recipe for the spirit essence pill had long since disappeared. After Ningqing obtained the divine chalcedony, he planned to spend some time to deduce the pill recipe for the spirit essence pill. But he didn't expect that Pill Sage Minkong would help him deduce the pill recipe here. In the face of this pill recipe that he urgently needed, Ningqing immediately immersed himself in it. Even his guard against the black-clothed woman had lowered a lot. In fact, he didn't need to be on guard against her. The black-clothed woman didn't put Ningqing in her eyes at all, let alone spying on him in secret. Time passed by in a hurry, and Ning Cheng's secluded room remained deathly silent without any movement. It was already the 21st day since Ning Cheng moved in, and Xi and Xiao grew more and more anxious. Previously, Ning Cheng had given Wu Qihong an extreme purging wood essence pill, which allowed Wu Qihong's vitality to grow a lot stronger. After a few days of consumption, Wu Qihong's vitality started to collapse once again. Xi and Xiao also understood that without condensing her essence spirit and repairing her sea of consciousness, even if she had more extreme purging wood essence pills, her junior apprentice brother would still die. It's just that after Ning Cheng moved in, the room fell into complete silence. No matter how anxious she felt, she didn't dare to touch the restrictions outside Ning Cheng's door. Inside the room, Ning Cheng grew more and more surprised. Pill Sage Min Kong's divine chalcedony pill recipe wasn't perfect. There were several key points that didn't have perfect solutions. However, Ning Cheng found a solution based on Pill Sage Min Kong's deduction. The main spiritual item was naturally divine chalcedony, while the main divine grasses were refining cloud vine, meteor fantasy fruit, devil cloth grass, 10,000 black flame petals, and 163 auxiliary divine grasses. The quantity of the various divine grasses varied. Moreover, refining this kind of pill also had very strict requirements for pill fire and spiritual consciousness. Apart from the relatively precious divine chalcedony, only the 10,000 black flame petals were high-grade divine grasses. The rest could only be regarded as ordinary divine grasses, and even some merchant houses could sell them. Ning Cheng had a lot of divine chalcedony, and he had also obtained 200 stalks of the 10,000 black flame petals from Pill Sage Min Kong's spiritual medicine garden. The most crucial part of deducing the pill recipe was the 10,000 black flame petals. The 10,000 black flame petals were divine grasses with a blazing light attribute. Spiritual consciousness, on the other hand, was generally invisible and intangible. Therefore, divine grasses like the 10,000 black flame petals would never interact with one sea of consciousness or spiritual consciousness. However, the divine chalcedony's inattributed energy was too strong. If one didn't use the 10,000 black flame petals, not only would it not work, but it would also burn one sea of consciousness. There was a slight difference between the deductions and the actual conclusions. Even if Ning Cheng had the mysterious yellow bead and cultivated the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method, he couldn't directly use the deductions. Ning Cheng threw away one batch of waste pills after another, but he didn't feel any heartache at all. Every time he threw away a batch of medicinal pills, the subsequent batch of medicinal pills would become more perfect. He had a lot of divine grasses and more than 100 divine chalcedony. Once a pill recipe that could increase one's spiritual consciousness and sea of consciousness, and even repair one's spiritual consciousness was deduced, its value would be immeasurable. After wasting the 11th batch of medicinal pills, Ning Cheng finally succeeded. The 12th batch of medicinal pills hadn't come out yet, but the faint fragrance coming from it shook his sea of consciousness. The trace of foreign spiritual consciousness that originally lay across Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness also showed a faint tendency to separate. Ning Cheng felt happy. He didn't expect that the newly deduced medicinal pills would have such an effect. The surprise almost caused Ning Cheng to waste the 12th batch of medicinal pills. Thanks to his powerful spiritual consciousness, Ning Cheng persisted and finally succeeded in refining 8 medicinal pills. Ning Cheng managed to refine 8 medicinal pills in his first batch. Although he didn't get any top-quality ones, he was still satisfied with the results. Once he expelled the trace of foreign spiritual consciousness from his sea of consciousness, his sea of consciousness would become even purer, allowing him to refine these medicinal pills with even better results. 8 white, almost transparent medicinal pills lay in Ning Cheng's palm, giving off a faint fragrance. Ning Cheng couldn't help but take in a deep breath. He carefully put away the medicinal pills, took one out, and threw it into his mouth. The medicinal pill didn't turn into a medicinal liquid when it entered his mouth. Instead, it turned into a trace of aura that penetrated into his sea of consciousness. Ning Cheng didn't cultivate at all, but he could clearly feel his spiritual consciousness growing stronger, and his sea of consciousness slowly expanding. Ning Cheng, who was still pleasantly surprised, didn't even have time to feel the power of this medicinal pill when the trace of foreign spiritual consciousness in his sea of consciousness suddenly trembled and stripped away from his original spiritual consciousness. Ningqing felt overjoyed and directly sent out a thought to grab it. The next moment, the foreign spiritual consciousness appeared in his hand. As he threw out a celestial river flame, the foreign spiritual consciousness made a slight kacha sound before disappearing without a trace. Dispelling the foreign spiritual consciousness in his sea of consciousness, Ningqing took in a deep breath. Since he cast the dark nether devouring spirit cultivation method and swallowed a trace of the opponent's spiritual consciousness, his sea of consciousness had never felt so comfortable. According to the method of the dark nether devouring spirit scroll, after he swallowed the opponent's spiritual consciousness, he should have refined the opponent's spiritual consciousness. However, he didn't do so, so his sea of consciousness had always felt a little uncomfortable. Now he used this newly deduced elixir to directly strip away that trace of foreign spiritual consciousness, and finally, his sea of consciousness became clear again. Ningqing looked at the remaining 7 medicinal pills in the jade bottle, and felt very proud in his heart. If the person who created the dark nether devouring spirit scroll had this medicinal pill, what kind of terrifying height would he have developed to? Nevertheless, Ningqing didn't intend to cultivate the devouring spiritual consciousness of the dark nether devouring spirit scroll. He believed that with the help of this medicinal pill, he wouldn't need to devour other people's spiritual consciousness to make his own spiritual consciousness stronger. With this medicinal pill, he could use the spirit technique of devouring spiritual consciousness as a trump card when he couldn't beat his opponent. Ningqing felt sure that the medicinal pill he and Pill Sage Minkong jointly derived wasn't the spirit essence pill, but a new kind of spirit pill. Perhaps in terms of grade, this medicinal pill was at most a soul-sculpting spirit pill. But in fact, this spirit pill might even have an effect on primordial chaos holy emperors. Ningqing picked up the jade bottle and looked at it for a long time before muttering to himself, "Let's call it the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill." Both he and Pill Sage Minkong had contributed a lot to this medicinal pill, so the name was appropriate. Maybe Pill Sage Minkong went to the Grand Essence Mystic Realm to find divine chalcedony and refine something similar to the Spirit Essence pill. Putting away the jade bottle, Ningqing once again refined a furnace of Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation pills. This time he refined a furnace of 12 top-quality Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation pills. Putting away the medicinal pills and the pill furnace, Ningqing stood up and cleaned up. After more than 20 days of seclusion, it was time to come out. Ningqing walked out of his room and saw Xian Xiao sitting outside his room. He spoke with a slightly apologetic tone. "Xian Xiao, have you been sitting here all this time?" Xian Xiao stood up in surprise when she saw Ningqing coming out. "Big brother Ji, you came out?" Ningqing understood that Xian Xiao really wanted to ask him if he found a way. He smiled and took out the jade bottle with only 7 Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation pills and handed it to Xian Xiao. "This bottle of medicinal pills can save junior apprentice brother Qihong. There are 7 pills in it. If I'm not wrong, you can save junior apprentice brother Qihong with just 3 pills. You can keep the other 4 for your own use. It's good for spiritual consciousness cultivation." Xian Xiao grabbed the jade bottle in surprise. She didn't even ask about the name of the medicinal pill. Instead, she bowed to Ningqing and hurriedly said, "Thank you, big brother Ji." Then she turned around and left. Wu Qihong's aura could disappear at any time, which made her anxious. Ningqing didn't go over. The Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation pills could repair Wu Qihong's spiritual consciousness. But now he had to get busy with the Great Meet. The Grand Essence Great Meet would start in 3 days, and he wanted to go out and have a look. Chapter 899. Not long after Ningqing walked out of the Star Stepping Tower, the Grand Essence Great Meet qualification card hanging around his waist suddenly vibrated. Ningqing grabbed the qualification card, and a row of words suddenly appeared on it. Great Meet time and place, Grand Essence Calendar 38,602 Epoch, Year 619, October 23rd, Heaven Essence Sacred Cities Public Square. Upon receiving the message, immediately go to the Grand Essence Sect Alliance to record it. Ning Cheng had already learned about the first year of the Grand Essence era, which was the way of counting the years here. According to the date, it should be 3 days later. The Grand Essence Sect Alliance wasn't too far from the Star Stepping Tower. Therefore, it only took Ning Cheng a few minutes to arrive at the Sect Alliance. The Sect Alliance was an organization jointly established by some big and small sects in the Grand Essence domain. Generally, any comprehensive activities in the Grand Essence domain, such as the Grand Essence Great Meet, Mystic Realms, and so on, would need to go through the Sect Alliance. When Ning Cheng arrived at the Grand Essence Sect Alliance, many people had already gathered here. Ning Cheng immediately saw a few familiar faces, one of which was the cultivator with the flame hive. Ning Cheng remembered that fellow's name, Aiden, which sounded a bit Western. Aiden had also entered the Grand Essence Great Meet this time. Therefore, he came here for the same purpose as Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng wanted to trade the flame hive with him, so he sped up and arrived at the registration office for the Great Meet before handing over his qualification card. The registration process here was very fast. In less than a minute, Ning Cheng took back the registration card. Then he quickly walked towards the cultivator named Aiden. Aiden had a full circle eternal cultivation, and he had an extremely tall stature. He looked more than 2 meters tall. At this moment, he was talking to another cultivator when Ning Cheng suddenly walked over. The two stopped talking and looked at Ning Cheng at the same time. Both of them could tell that Ning Cheng had come towards them. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Dao friend Aiden, my name is Ji He, and I'm an alchemy master. I want to talk to Dao friend about something. I wonder if Dao friend Aiden can give me some time?" Aiden saw that Ning Cheng had come for him and nodded with a smile. "I know you, Pill Emperor Ji He. You've gained a lot in the mystic realm, and I admire you a lot. I wonder why Dao friend Ji He wants to see me? I can't leave for the time being." Among the cultivators that came out of the mystic realm, the number of divine grasses they displayed could be ranked in the top 10. None of them were weak. If it wasn't obtained through robbery, then it meant that they were extremely lucky and found a place with many divine grasses. Even though Ji He had been trapped in the mystic realm for tens of thousands of years, it was not easy for him to achieve this. However, although Aiden spoke with a polite tone, he obviously didn't put Ning Cheng in his eyes. Just look at the fact that he couldn't squeeze out any time and didn't even report his name. Ning Cheng did not care about it, and simply spoke out in a straightforward manner. "I want to exchange the flame beehive with this Dao friend. If this Dao friend is willing, then please state the price you need." Aiden showed a faint smile. "Thank you very much for taking a fancy to my flame hive. My name is Aiden. I took out the fire beehive. I was planning on trading it anyway. This friend is also looking for me to exchange the flame beehive. As for the price, I'll naturally exchange it with whoever offers the highest price." The cultivator talking to Aiden immediately frowned when he heard that Ning Cheng also came for the flame hive. If Ning Cheng had come a little later, they might have already completed the transaction. Ning Cheng couldn't help but wonder why this fellow took out the flame hive when he checked the harvest from the mystic realm. This kid truly had some tricks up his sleeves. But now he didn't say the price and let others quote the price. That was why he wanted to fish for the greatest benefits. Ning Cheng took out a jade box with restrictions on it and handed it to Aiden. "I'll use this to exchange for it. What do you think?" After understanding that someone also wanted Aiden's flame hive, Ning Cheng felt that he should cut the Gordian knot with a sharp knife. Since he knew that Aiden would come here, then the other cultivators who wanted to exchange with Aiden would also know that Aiden would come here. Aiden reached out and grabbed Ning Cheng's jade box but didn't open it. Instead, he casually swept through it with his spiritual consciousness. When he saw a space crystal, his eyes suddenly lit up. This was a truly good thing, something that even spirit crystals couldn't buy. "It's not bad, but the price is a little lower." Aiden spoke but didn't return the jade box to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng secretly ridiculed Aiden's greed. The price of the flame hive definitely wouldn't be higher than the space spirit crystals. Space spirit crystals were treasures that one couldn't find even if one wanted to. Although the flame hive was rare, it had limited uses. From the moment Aiden grabbed the jade box and didn't hand it to him, Ning Cheng understood what was going on. This fellow really wanted the space crystal. He reached out and grabbed the jade box from Aiden's hand, put it away and said, "This is the price I can offer. If this Dao friend doesn't want it, then forget it." After saying that, Ningqing turned around and left. Even without the flame hive, he could use other methods to help the exploding golden wasps advance. It would just take a lot of time and energy. With his experience in bargaining, Aiden would definitely catch up to him. Wait. Sure enough, just as Ningqing turned around, Aiden called out from behind. Aiden lacked space spirit crystals, so how could he let Ningqing go? His mouth was still shouting, but he had already rushed up in front of Ningqing. The other cultivator who spoke to Aiden saw the situation and immediately understood that things weren't looking good. He and Aiden had talked until now and naturally understood that Aiden wasn't easy to deal with. He also understood Aiden's greed. From the beginning until now, Aiden hadn't shown even half an interest in his offer. Now that Ningqing arrived, Aiden immediately chased after him. Naturally, he desired the things in the jade box. He understood that once one lost something in a transaction, it would be difficult to get it back. Therefore, instead of chasing after Aiden, he sent out a message. Seeing Aiden chasing after him, Ningqing understood that he had succeeded. He also saw the message sent by the other cultivator. From the looks of it, he needed to complete the transaction as soon as possible. After understanding this, Ningqing didn't continue and stopped. "Dao friend Aiden, do you want to make a deal?" Aiden nodded. "I'll trade with you. Your jade box plus 50,000 spirit crystals." "Deal." Ningqing didn't bargain and handed over the jade box and the storage bag containing the 50,000 spirit crystals to Aiden without hesitation. Aiden also handed over the storage bag containing the flame hive to Ningqing. The flame hive covered a large area and had to be stored in a storage bag before it could be traded. The two checked each other's things and expressed satisfaction. Wait. Ningqing hadn't even put away the storage bag containing the flame hive when two figures rushed over and landed in front of him and Aiden. "You again?" After seeing Ningqing, the newcomer's face sank and he snorted coldly. Ningqing also saw the cultivator who came over. It was Ji Pingzhong, the one who snatched a room from him in the star-stepping tower. This fellow seemed to like wearing brown robes, and still wore a brown robe. Following behind this fellow was the cultivator who had spoken to Aiden just now. From the looks of it, he was the one who called Ji Pingzhong over. "Take out the flame hive. I'll give you double the amount of spirit crystals." Ji Pingzhong spoke with a condescending tone. He didn't put Ningqing in his eyes. Ningqing had to compromise in front of a mere Deacon Huang in the star-stepping tower. Now, facing Ji Pingzhong, one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, how could he not compromise? Ningqing had compromised in the star-stepping tower, because Deacon Huang was willing to pay double the amount of spirit crystals. Moreover, he also knew that even if he didn't compromise, he couldn't do anything about it. Ji Pingzhong thought that Ningqing would compromise because of his identity, which meant that Ningqing thought too highly of himself. Putting away the flame hive calmly, Ningqing spoke with a calm voice. "By the way, if I don't want to, will you bring this matter back to the desolate spirit palace?" When Ji Pingzhong heard Ningqing's words, how could he not understand that Ningqing was mocking him for threatening the star-stepping tower's master with the desolate spirit palace? He had indeed reported the matter, but the desolate spirit palace didn't send any experts to help him. Instead, they even reprimanded him and sent an elder to the star-stepping tower to express their apologies. Now that Ningqing said those words, it was simply a naked slap in the face. In fact, Ningqing's words were a slap in the face. Ningqing had lived in the star-stepping tower for nearly a month, and the star-stepping tower had remained calm without any noise. He understood that the desolate spirit palace didn't dare to do anything to the star-stepping tower. Moreover, Ningqing didn't know that the desolate spirit palace had gone to the star-stepping tower to express their apologies. If he knew about it, he might have slapped them in the face even more. If he could fight here, Ji Pingzhong would have already brought out his weapon to kill Ningqing. But since he couldn't fight here, he could only speak up with a livid face. "So you don't want to hand over the flame hive?" Ningqing's tone remained calm. "Why should I give you my things? Are all the people from the desolate spirit palace as shameless as you? Do you want to force someone else's things?" Ningqing's voice wasn't low, and the surrounding cultivators immediately gathered around. Whether it was mortals or cultivators, they all had the same mentality about watching the show. Ji Pingzhong seemed to understand that Ningqing wouldn't compromise. Therefore, he turned his gaze to Aiden. He didn't speak, but his gaze gave him a sense of pressure. Aiden showed a faint smile and ignored Ji Pingzhong. He then turned around and walked away. Ji Pingzhong didn't stop Aiden and just stared at Ningqing. I know you will also participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet. I hope you can live to 100 years old in the Grand Essence Great Meet. Ningqing also didn't bother with Ji Pingzhong and directly walked out of the sect union. This fellow must have been used to being respected by others and thought that rogue cultivators had to humble themselves in front of him. Ignored by Aiden and Ningqing one after another, Ji Pingzhong's hands trembled in anger. He knew that staying here would only make him a laughingstock. Walking out of the Grand Essence Sect Union, Ningqing didn't feel too happy about obtaining the flame hive. As for whether he had offended Ji Pingzhong or not, he didn't care about it. Instead, he thought about the black-robed woman from the Star Stepping Tower. The Desolate Spirit Palace ranked as one of the top 10 sects, which meant that it definitely had a Dao fusion powerhouse. The black-robed woman didn't even give a damn about such a sect, and didn't suffer any retaliation. This showed how strong she was. Since he had the mysterious yellow bead, shouldn't he continue to live in the Star Stepping Tower? Chapter 900. To Ningqing's slight relief, the black-robed woman from the Star Stepping Tower did not seem to have noticed him. Elder brother Ji. Ningqing had just walked to the door of the room when Xian Xiuxin opened the restrictions covering the room. At the same time, an incomparably happy voice arrived. Many thanks to senior apprentice brother for saving my life. Standing behind Xian Xiu was Wu Qihong, who couldn't even open his eyes before. At this moment, Wu Qihong's life force still remained weak. Ningqing could clearly feel that his life force was slowly converging, and even his essence spirit had started to slowly condense. Ningqing knew that the consciousness transmutation pill had no way to condense an essence spirit. As such, Wu Qihong's essence spirit started to condense slowly. It wasn't because the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill had the effect of condensing one's soul, but because his soul wasn't damaged. Wu Qihong's essence spirit slowly dissipated because his sea of consciousness had shattered. Now that his sea of consciousness had begun to recover, his primordial spirit had also begun to gradually solidify. In any case, Ningqing felt very satisfied with Wu Qihong's recovery speed. The Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill did not disappoint him. In fact, its effects far exceeded his expectations. Seeing the look in Xian Xiu's eyes, Ningqing knew that Xian Xiu did not speak about the matter of him being a fake Jihe. He was quite satisfied with Xian Xiu's cautiousness. After all, Wu Qihong was far from fully recovered. Knowing this kind of thing could easily leak out, he smiled and said to Wu Qihong, "You can recuperate in peace. Don't worry about anything else." Wu Qihong replied respectfully, "Qihong will follow senior apprentice brother's instructions." After that, he took the initiative to enter the room to continue healing. After Wu Qihong left, Xian Xiu spoke up. "I didn't tell Qihong about you. In fact, after elder brother Ji left, Qihong comforted me. He told me that big brother Yen took those god herbs in order to fulfill master's dying wish to become a pill emperor as soon as possible. In fact, he never hated big brother Yen." Ningqing also couldn't help but sigh. The character of these two junior apprentice brothers and junior apprentice sister seemed to be much better than him. After returning to his residence, Ningqing did not go out again. He immediately threw the flame hive in front of the exploding golden wasp king in the true spirit world. The few exploding golden wasps in the true spirit world saw the flame hive and immediately rushed over, disappearing into the flame hive. Ningqing did not continue to observe the exploding golden wasps, and withdrew from the true spirit world to start refining pills. He had promised to send some Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills to Qi Shixingsing. Although Qi Shixingsing hadn't arrived yet, he still planned to refine them first. On the third day, Wu Qihong's cultivation also recovered by more than half. After Ningqing gave some spirit crystals and medicinal pills to Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong, He told Xi and Xiao that he would be leaving and would never return to the Star-Stepping Tower again. Xi and Xiao vaguely knew that Ningcheng would participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet. But now that Ningcheng said that he wouldn't come back, she didn't ask about it. She just said that once Wu Qihong recovered, they would leave the Heaven Essence Sacred City. By the time Ningcheng arrived at the Heaven Essence Sacred City's public square, the Heaven Essence Sacred City's public square was already overcrowded. The Grand Essence Great Meet represented the highest level of fights under the Tao Confirming Realm in the entire Grand Essence realm. Almost everyone who could come here to watch the competition was here. In the middle of the public square, there was only a single dueling platform. Sitting on the main platform were several powerhouses, but Ningcheng could not make out their cultivations. Ningcheng's gaze swept around, and quickly found a disciple from the profound Moon Spirit Gate. He quickly walked over and cupped his fists before asking, "Senior apprentice brother, may I ask if Shizingsing is here?" This disciple also knew Ningcheng. Seeing Ningcheng ask about Qi Shizingsing, he quickly returned the courtesy, "So it's Pill Emperor Ji. Senior apprentice brother Shizingsing should be in seclusion. As for the specific situation, I don't know much about it." Ningcheng didn't continue to ask. Qi Shizingsing had been trapped in the mystic realm for so many years, so it was normal for him to go into seclusion after returning. As for the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill, Ningcheng didn't want others to bring it to Qi Shizingsing. This kind of thing was too precious. Therefore, he had to personally deliver it to Qi Shizingsing. An old man with a ruddy face flew out from the main platform. It was the old man who presided over the Grand Essence Mystic Realm's display of divine grasses. He stood in the void above the huge battle platform in the middle of the public square. Disciples participating in the Grand Essence Great Meet. The Grand Essence Great Meet is about to begin. We will decide the top 10 in the shortest time possible. The top 10 will gain the right to enter the extraterritorial Spirit Spring. As for the rankings after the 11th place, which will involve the allocation of resources to the Grand Essence Mystic Realm and the sex, we will slowly decide them after the top 10 enter the extraterritorial Spirit Spring. Now, all participants, please pay attention to your participation qualification card, which contains your number of matches and opponents. I hereby announce the rules of the Grand Essence Sect Union. There are no restrictions in the tournament until one side concedes defeat. If one side concedes defeat, the other side must not continue to kill. The disciples who fall on the battle platform are the results of the battles. No sect or individual can seek revenge or take advantage of the results on the battle platform. After the old man with a ruddy face finished speaking, he turned around and returned to his seat. Ningcheng shook his head. The second half of the old man's words were equivalent to bullshit. He only said one sentence: "Don't seek revenge because of the results on the battle platform." Not only did he not mention the consequences of doing so, but he also didn't even mention any punishment. From this, one could imagine that those who sought revenge would still seek revenge after the battle. This was to deter the disciples of the small sects from killing the core disciples of the big sections. From the old man's words, Ningcheng understood that the Grand Essence Great Meet wasn't just about the quota for the extraterritorial Spirit Spring, but something else. After the ruddy-faced old man announced the start of the tournament, the public square turned silent, and Ningcheng's participation qualification card also shook. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the qualification card and saw a row of small words on it. Jihe number 95, opponent number 41, round 16. Ningcheng had just seen his number when a purple-robed man landed on the battle platform. Ningcheng didn't know this purple-robed man. But before this purple-robed man came on stage, Ningcheng could feel the aura coming from this purple-robed man. From this, he could tell that this purple-robed man was a powerhouse. In terms of strength alone, this purple-robed man wasn't much weaker than Ji Pingzhong. The first match is Kekalushi. This is going to be interesting. Kekalushi is ranked 7th among the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. I don't know who's unlucky enough to meet Kekalushi. From the whispers of the cultivators next to him, Ningcheng understood that the purple-robed man on the stage was called Kekalushi. He was also one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children and ranked 7th. So far, Ningcheng had seen 5 of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. Chubai, Huarki, Wahauga, Jipingzhong, and Kekalushi. Kekalushi spoke with a rough tone. He cupped his fists on the battle platform and spoke with a gruff voice. Heaven's Pole Islands Kekalushi. I'm here to learn from you. As Kekalushi's voice fell, another man with a medium build landed on the battle platform. After this man came up, he didn't speak. Instead, he directly brought out a weapon and attacked Kekalushi. However, this man's strength was far inferior to Kekalushi's. As soon as the two started fighting, Kekalushi completely suppressed him. In less than half an incense stick worth of time, several blue lights struck the man's chest. A few blood mists sprayed out from his chest, and he also spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. In this state, even if he wanted to admit defeat, he wouldn't be able to say it. Kekalushi shouldn't be a cruel and merciless person. Therefore, when his opponent couldn't even speak, he immediately stopped. It wasn't until Kekalushi stopped that his opponent finally said the word, admit defeat. If Kekalushi hadn't taken the initiative to stop, Kekalushi would have already killed this cultivator. After the two people went down, another two people came up. Ning Cheng could tell that this was an elimination round. 100 people fought against each other, and this elimination round determined 50 people. The battles progressed quickly, and Ning Cheng could hear some of the origins of the cultivators fighting on the battle platform from the cultivators around him. Under normal circumstances, cultivators from big sects would win more than they lost. The cultivators who came to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet were indeed much stronger than ordinary cultivators. But in Ning Cheng's opinion, if they all had this level, he wouldn't have any problems entering the top 10. The battles reached the 14th round, and a female cultivator came up on the stage. Ning Cheng heard from the surrounding cultivators that this female cultivator's name was Yi Luoping. She was also one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children and ranked 10th. This female cultivator's opponent turned out to be Aiden, the rogue cultivator who traded the flame hive with Ning Cheng. Yi Luoping didn't speak after coming up on the stage. Instead, she brought out a lotus sword platform. Ning Cheng knew that the lotus sword platform was a powerful weapon. It was a lotus sword platform formed from a sword array. Once trapped by the lotus sword platform, even if one's strength was a level higher than the other party, one would find it difficult to escape. In the end, one's heart would be pierced by 10,000 swords. Aiden gave Ning Cheng a relatively average feeling, and he felt that Aiden wouldn't be Yi Luoping's opponent. But when Aiden and Yi Luoping started fighting, Ning Cheng realized that he had misjudged him. Aiden was far more terrifying than what he showed on the surface. Moreover, Aiden's weapon also looked strange. It was just a wisp of black smoke. The black smoke obviously didn't have any strength. But after Aiden brought it out, it transformed into a substantial smoke shield and a black smoke-killing light. The black smoke didn't show any signs of collapse when it collided with Yi Luoping's sword array. Powerful celestial essence and smoke burst out and quickly covered the two fighting figures. The battle platform shielded one's spiritual consciousness. Therefore, as the two fought fiercely, Ning Cheng's eyes couldn't see who had the upper hand. A burst of whimpering sounds came from the battle platform. Although it was broad daylight, these sounds gave people a chilly feeling. Boom 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 boom. The celestial essence explosions didn't stop after the two fought on the stage. After an incense stick worth of time, a beautiful figure flew out of the center of the explosion and hit the restrictions around the battle platform. She then spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and slid to the ground. Ning Cheng could clearly see that it was Yi Luoping. I lost. Yi Luoping, who slid to the ground, didn't wait for Aiden to continue and immediately admitted defeat. Seeing that she couldn't get up from the ground for a long time, Ning Cheng understood that Yi Luoping's injuries weren't light. The public square immediately burst into an uproar. This was the first time since the start of the battle. A rogue cultivator had actually defeated Yi Luoping, who ranked 10th among the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. Didn't this mean that this rogue cultivator also had the strength to contend for the title of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children? Aiden showed a calm smile and cupped his fists towards the audience. He then walked down the battle platform unhurriedly. Chapter 901. The 15th match had already started, But the cultivators on the public square were still talking about the 14th match. Aiden had also become the focus of everyone's attention. Ningqing glanced at Aiden. No wonder this fellow didn't fear Ji Pingzhong's threat. His strength definitely wasn't any worse than Ji Pingzhong's. Even without using his spiritual consciousness to observe Aiden's fight, Ningqing could guess that Aiden hadn't used his full strength to defeat Yi Luoping. In other words, this fellow had hidden his strength. The 15th match quickly passed, and Ningqing's qualification card lit up again. Ningqing didn't hesitate and jumped directly onto the dueling platform. Whether it was Ningqing or Ji He, both of them were unknown people that few people knew about. If Ji He hadn't been trapped in the Grand Essence mystic realm for 60,000 years, even fewer people would have known about him. After Ningqing came to the stage, no one talked about him. But Sun Kaixian looked at Ningqing in disbelief. As Ji He's fiancée, although she didn't care much about Ji He, she also knew about Ji He's strength. If it came to alchemy, Ji He might be competent. But in a place like the Grand Essence Great Meat, Ji He would just be a joke. The green-robed woman standing next to Sun Kaixian also exclaimed in surprise. Kaixian, this fellow didn't sell his qualification card and really came to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meat. Is he crazy? Sun Kaixian didn't answer the green-robed woman's words. She also thought that Ji He had gone crazy. Anyone who could participate in this kind of competition could instantly kill Ji He. Previously, she also thought that Ji He had displayed a bunch of divine grasses to win a spot in the Great Meat because he wanted to sell them. Or rather, Ji He wanted to help the profound Moon Spirit Gate exchange for a spot. But now, it seemed that it wasn't the case at all. Since Ji He came to the dueling platform, it meant that he wanted to participate in the fight. Ningqing had just stood on the dueling platform when a man with some black spots on his face flew over and landed in front of Ningqing. As soon as this man came up, Ningqing could tell that this fellow had a full circle eternal cultivation. The black spots on his face gave off a strange aura, indicating that he cultivated a cultivation method. Seeing Ningqing bring out a middle-rank spirit artifact long spear, this man's gaze swept over Ningqing's long spear and spoke with an indifferent tone. Admit defeat, and I won't hurt you. Otherwise, if I were to make a move, it would be too late for you to admit defeat. As he spoke, his imposing aura surged up and directly suppressed Ningqing's domain. Ningqing allowed the other party's domain to gain the upper hand, and did not use his domain to fight back. With his strength, if he wanted to stimulate his domain to fight back, then the domain of this male cultivator with black spots on his face would not be able to withstand even a single blow. Don't be so long-winded. Ningqing did not speak any nonsense, as the long spear in his hands blasted out. The long spear only brought out a few spear patterns without any spirit techniques. Ningqing didn't even use the laws of space. He knew very well what he was here for. He wasn't here to show others how strong he was. Instead, he wanted to go to the extraterritorial divine spring. As long as he could go to the extraterritorial divine spring, it didn't matter even if he was ranked 10th. You're courting death. The dark-spotted man roared. His domain completely suppressed Ningqing's domain. In this case, Ningqing not only didn't admit defeat, but also dared to bring out his long spear and take the initiative to attack. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? The dark-spotted man waved his hand, and a black cloud suddenly appeared between him and Ningqing. A rancid aura quickly spread out, and Ningqing saw that it wasn't a black cloud, but a shroud. To be honest, this was the first time Ningqing saw someone using a shroud as a weapon. The dark-spotted man's shroud looked different. It exuded a disgusting rancid aura, which almost made Ningqing vomit. Not only that, but an invisible Dao charm seeped out from the shroud one after another. These Dao charms instantly merged into the dark-spotted man's domain, which already suppressed Ningqing's domain. Perhaps in just a few breaths, Ningqing's domain would shatter. Ningqing frowned a little. He knew that he had to stay in a stalemate with the other party for a while, but this dark-spotted man's shroud was too disgusting. After the dark-spotted man brought out the shroud, his domain fused with the Dao charm aura of the shroud, causing the suppression to grow even stronger. Ningqing naturally wouldn't let the other party crush him. Therefore, his domain also grew stronger. Even if the dark-spotted man's domain grew stronger, Ning Cheng's domain could still faintly block it. The moment the shroud's Dao charm merged with the dark-spotted man's domain, dozens of skeletal palms rushed out of the shroud and completely sealed off the space around Ning Cheng. No matter which direction Ning Cheng fled to, he couldn't escape the shadows of these skeletal palms. Although he had a good plan, it was a pity that his domain could completely suppress Ning Cheng's domain. When the skeletal palms in his shroud reached out, he suddenly discovered that Ning Cheng's domain had grown stronger at some point. Even if his shroud and his domain fused together, he couldn't break through it even by half. Kaka. A burst of cracking sounds emerged, as the spear lines on Ning Cheng's long spear suddenly increased in number. Except for a part of it blocked by the corpse wrapping cloth, the rest of the spear lines all exploded into the palm shadows of the skeletal palms. These skeletal palm prints completely shattered like popcorn. The dark-spotted man couldn't believe this result at all. He thought that his skeletal palms would crush Ning Cheng to death and turn him into a wisp of resentment on his shroud. He never expected that his skeletal palms would shatter in the end, while his opponent would come out unscathed. Ning Cheng wanted to use his domain to suppress the other party, and then use Sunset's twilight to kill this dark-spotted man in front of him. However, he managed to hold back in the end. After his long spear shattered the skeletal palms, he seemed to have suffered a huge backlash and was sent flying backwards. As a rogue cultivator, even if he wanted to kill this dark-spotted man, he couldn't do it so easily. Otherwise, he would have been repeatedly investigated before he could even go to the extraterritorial spirit spring. Seeing Ning Cheng flying backwards due to the backlash, the dark-spotted man felt slightly relieved. Just now, Ning Cheng's domain had strengthened, and then the spear patterns had erupted. He thought that Ning Cheng had burned his essence blood, and then cast a killing move. After figuring this out, the dark-spotted man didn't hesitate at all. He rolled up the shroud and rushed over. If he didn't kill Ning Cheng, he wouldn't feel comfortable in his heart. The smell of cold corpses mixed with the endless black skeletons rushed towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. He truly had bad luck to meet such a disgusting cultivator. If not for the battle platform, this dark-spotted man would have already jumped off his bridge of coping and made some contributions to the bridge of coping. At this moment, Ning Cheng could only fight back. He once again brought out 2 defensive shields and fought against the dark-spotted man. After an incense stick worth of time, the dark-spotted man felt that something was wrong. Although his opponent looked battered and looked like he could fall at any moment, he was still safe and sound. Was the other party pretending? Did he deliberately want to fight with him? The more the dark-spotted man thought about it, the more he felt that it was true. The dark-spotted man, who originally wanted to bring out a spirit technique, started to feel a little nervous in his heart. After thinking about it for a moment, he decided to give up on bringing out a spirit technique and immediately admit defeat. It should be about time. Ning Cheng had just thought of this when he felt the dark-spotted man wanting to retreat. At this time, how could he let the dark-spotted man walk away unscathed? Bringing out a few more shields, Ning Cheng's shields completely sealed off the dark-spotted man. Sensing a powerful spatial shackle, the dark-spotted man's heart sank. He felt sure that Ning Cheng was pretending. This kind of powerful spatial shackle definitely wasn't something an ordinary eternal cultivator could do. He opened his mouth to admit defeat. But at this time, how could Ning Cheng let his opponent speak? While the spatial shackles enveloped the dark-spotted man, the spear patterns also pierced through the dark-spotted man's head. Poof poof poof. The spear patterns rolled up a spray of blood, and the dark-spotted man's essence spirit turned into nothingness. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief, put away his things, and slowly walked down the battle platform. Ning Cheng didn't accept the dark-spotted man's things. Firstly, he didn't care about these things, and secondly, he didn't know who the person behind the dark-spotted man was. He didn't want to give others an excuse to accept these things. Ning Cheng and the dark-spotted man weren't famous people. Therefore, the 2 of them fought until now, and one of them fell, but it didn't cause much surprise. Many cultivators were still talking about the fight between Aiden and Yi Luoping. Kaishian Jihe actually won this. The green-robed woman, who had been watching Ning Cheng's fight in the distance, spoke up in surprise. Sun Kaishian also looked at Ning Cheng in disbelief. After the fight with the dark-spotted man, Ningqing looked quite embarrassed. Not only was his hair messy, but even his clothes were torn in many places. Moreover, his aura was also somewhat unstable. No matter what happened to Ningqing, it was a fact that Ningqing had won against the dark-spotted man. He seems to have changed a lot. After a long time, Sun Kaixian replied. Whether it was Ningqing ridiculing Guahauga outside the Grand Essence mystic realm, or Ningqing participating in the Grand Essence Great Meet, he was completely different from the previous Jihe. The green-robed woman next to Sun Kaixian sighed and said, he should have obtained some opportunities in the mystic realm. Unfortunately, he still doesn't know how to be flexible. He just killed a core disciple of the Immortal Corpse sect. Now that he killed him, it would be strange if the Immortal Corpse sect would let him go. The green-robed woman's words dispelled Sun Saichuan's doubts. Ningqing naturally didn't know that the person he killed was someone from the Immortal Corpse sect. Even if the Immortal Corpse sect wanted his life, he wouldn't hesitate to kill them. At this moment, he stood in a corner and watched other cultivators fight while waiting for his next fight. Most of the fights ended quickly. Except for a few cultivators who fought for a long time, the first 50 fights ended quickly. Guahauga and Ji Pingzhong had also fought on the stage, and their strength far surpassed cultivators in the same realm. But in Ningqing's opinion, it didn't matter much. Ningqing felt sure that neither of them could match up to Aiden. Among the cultivators that Ningqing remembered, apart from his acquaintance Yan Xishuang, Aiden was also one. Moreover, Ningqing also remembered Lu Yixian and Yining, two of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. Lu Yixian was at the late-stage Eternal Realm, and ranked first among the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. Yining ranked third among the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. In Ningqing's opinion, Lu Yixian's opponent wasn't much weaker than the dark-spotted man he killed. Moreover, Lu Yixian almost killed his opponent in seconds. Ningqing didn't even see his weapon. Chapter 902. After the top 50 were decided, Ningqing's qualification card lit up again. Above it was the information of Ningqing's next match, the 11th match. The opponent was the 29th. Ningqing knew that number 29's opponent had a slightly higher cultivation compared to the dark-spotted man, and his weapon was a 4-symbol spirit fire flag. Among all the matches, the strength of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children was significantly higher than the rest of the participants. However, Ningqing also saw that not all of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children participated in the matches. At least, he knew that Chu Bai and Huerqi didn't participate. Ningqing didn't know whether Huerqi was dead or alive, but Ningqing knew that Chu Bai was still alive. Among the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, except for Yi Luoping, who lost the match, Lu Yixian, Guahauga, Ji Pingzhong, Yining and Kekaluoxi all won. In other words, apart from Chu Bai and Huerqi, 4 of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children didn't participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet. The matches for the top 25 had also taken a long time. From the looks of it, the strength of the participating cultivators had also increased by a level. Many cultivators on the public square watched the fights between the participants on the battle stage with fascination. Ningqing, on the other hand, couldn't muster up any excitement. He had always fought against half-step Dao sculpting powerhouses. The eternal cultivators who came here to participate were all the best. But compared to half-step Dao sculpting powerhouses, they still fell short. In the 11th match, Ningqing took the stage again. His opponent was number 29, a thin and short male cultivator with only late-stage eternal cultivation. After this male cultivator came up, he didn't waste any time and directly brought out the 4-symbol spirit fire flag, which rolled up a large flame. These flames not only formed a few fire elephants, but also formed a fire elephant grand array around Ningqing. Ningqing naturally didn't speak any nonsense. He brought out a long spear and started fighting against the thin male cultivator. Whether it was the array formation or the flames, they posed no threat to Ningqing. On the surface, it looked like the two were fighting desperately, with spear shadows and flames flying everywhere. Only Ningqing knew how much effort he put in. What made him feel a little relieved was that the spiritual consciousness of the cultivators on the main stage couldn't penetrate the battle stage. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to do this. But even so, Ningcheng suspected that someone had noticed that he wasn't using his full strength. However, Ningcheng didn't feel worried. He wasn't the only cultivator who didn't use his full strength. People like Aiden and Lu Yixian hadn't used their full strength, so they didn't mind adding him to the mix. Because of the Grand Essence Great Meet, the Heaven Essence Sacred City had turned quite lively. Even some experts who were in closed-door training all year round came here. Naturally, they weren't here to watch the competition, but to take advantage of this opportunity to participate in some item exchanges or auctions. During each Grand Essence Great Meet, the most lively event wasn't necessarily the Great Meet itself, but the various trade fairs that accompanied the Great Meet. Only Man Huishan of the Barbarian Dragon clan remained in the Grand Essence ruins. A month ago, when the Grand Essence Mystic Realm opened, his son, Man Jiren, died in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. Therefore, he went to the location of the Grand Essence Mystic Realm's teleportation array. It was just that the cultivators who came out of the Mystic Realm all had names and backgrounds. Moreover, he couldn't find any traces of killing Man Jiren from these cultivators. After a quick investigation, he couldn't find the murderer. He could only return to the Grand Essence ruins and search for Ningcheng, who possessed the 5-colored star splitter arrow. His son couldn't come back to life after death. Moreover, he didn't have only one son, Man Jiren. For him now, the 5-colored star splitter arrow was more important. Over the past year or so, he hadn't made no progress. At least he found that lifeless poison hand had once appeared in the Grand Essence ruins. At this moment, he was trying his best to search for lifeless poison hand. As long as he found lifeless poison hand, he would have news about Ningcheng's life or death. On the day of the Grand Essence Great Meet, Man Huishan was drinking tea in a rest stop in the Grand Essence ruins when a message fell on his communication pearl. The message said that the top 25 of the Grand Essence Great Meet had come to an end. This message also showed the names of the top 25 of the Grand Essence Great Meet. Man Huishan glanced at it, but didn't see any Barbarian Dragon clan disciples. Despite feeling disappointed, Man Huishan knew that it wasn't unexpected. The Barbarian Dragon clan had no successors, so it was normal for no one to rush into the top 25. But when he was about to put down the communication pearl, he suddenly saw a familiar name. Tier 8 Pill Emperor Jihe. He knew this Jihe. He was the puny Pill Emperor, who had been trapped in the Mystic Realm for 60,000 years, along with profound moon spirit gates Qi Shizingsing. Because of the opening of the Mystic Realm, only Jihe and Qi Shizingsing had strange identities among the cultivators who came out. He also deliberately observed Jihe, and even asked others to inquire about Jihe. In the end, he came to the conclusion that Jihe wasn't a fake. After all, there were many dangerous places in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. Man Jiren might not necessarily have died at the hands of other cultivators. He might have entered a dangerous place but never came out. He had investigated Jihe and learned that he was just an alchemy master. His real strength wasn't very high. Not to mention entering the top 25 of the Grand Essence Great Meet. Even a random late-stage eternal cultivator could defeat Jihe. But now he received news that Jihe had entered the top 25 of the Grand Essence Great Meet. Man Huishan's first reaction when he saw the news was that Jihe was a fake. In other words, Jihe might have been someone else in disguise. One could obtain many opportunities in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. But to explain such a dramatic increase in one's combat prowess purely as an opportunity, it was a bit strange. Man Huishan no longer had the mood to drink tea. He directly sent out 2 messages. The first message was sent to Silver Light Fort, and the second message asked about Jihe's battle. Chu Bai, one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, came from Silver Light Fort. The reason why Man Huishan sent this message was that he asked Chu Bai about an extremely powerful unknown powerhouse in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. This unknown powerhouse didn't seem to have reached the full circle of the Eternal Realm, but he could easily crush Chu Bai and Huerqi, 2 of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children. It's just that this powerhouse didn't come out of the Mystic Realm. According to Chu Bai, the human-faced poison centipede devoured him. Man Huishan also asked some other cultivators, and found that someone had indeed seen a human-faced poison centipede chasing a cultivator. Now that Man Huishan thought about Jihe's disguise, he naturally guessed that the unknown powerhouse had also changed his appearance. After a while, both messages came back. The unknown powerhouse Chu Bai mentioned used a long spear, and the spear patterns were especially powerful. He also received Jihe's battle scene, which also showed a long spear. Although the spear patterns looked ordinary, they both used spear patterns to fight. Man Huishan didn't know what weapon Jihe used before, but he wasn't in the mood to investigate it. That unknown powerhouse had obtained a lot of divine grasses in the divine grass garden, and Jihe had also won a spot in the Grand Essence Great Meat by displaying his divine grasses. Putting all these together, he felt 80% sure that the unknown powerhouse who suppressed Chu Bai was Jihe. Or rather, the person who had changed his appearance to Jihe. Man Huishan slapped the tea table in front of him into pieces, and suddenly stood up. He handed over the task of finding Ning Cheng and lifeless Poison Hand to his followers in the Grand Essence ruins while he rushed towards the teleportation array. He wanted to teleport to Heaven Essence Sacred City's public square as soon as possible. He felt some regret in his heart. Why didn't he think of the possibility of a large number of divine grasses appearing in the spiritual medicine garden? Regardless of whether this person disguised as Jihe was Manjurin's murderer or not, he would take this person away. If this person didn't have any ulterior motives, why would he change his appearance to Jihe? Not to mention that the other party was a rogue cultivator. Even if the other party was a true disciple of the profound Moon Spirit Gate, he would take him down and question him. Chu Bai didn't go to Heaven Essence Sacred City to watch the Grand Essence Great Meat, nor did he participate in it. After escaping from the mystic realm, and failing to find the cultivator, who robbed him of a large number of divine grasses, he immediately went into seclusion to heal his injuries. But now, Man Huishan sent a message to the Silver Light Fort, asking about the weapon used by the unknown powerhouse who robbed the medicinal garden in the mystic realm. Chu Bai might be one of the Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, but he was still far from being able to talk to Man Huishan. The last time, Man Huishan sent someone to the Silver Light Fort to inquire about Manjurin's death. But this time, Man Huishan personally sent a message to the Silver Light Fort, which meant that things weren't that simple. But before he could figure it out, the people from the Silver Light Fort already understood why Man Huishan asked about it. Silver Light Fort naturally paid close attention to the top 25 cultivators in the Grand Essence Great Meat. Even if Man Huishan didn't ask about it, over time, they would associate Jihe's spear patterns with the unknown powerhouse who fought against Chu Bai. When Chu Bai saw Jihe's spear patterns fighting on the battle stage from the crystal ball, he immediately understood why Man Huishan asked about the unknown powerhouse's weapon. Chu Bai hadn't fully recovered from his injuries yet, but he still rushed to the Heaven Essence Sacred City with the elders from the Silver Light Fort. Ningqing didn't expect Man Huishan to have such a monstrous and meticulous mind. Even without being present, he could still see through the top 20 of the Grand Essence Great Meat. Moreover, he didn't expect that his weapon would expose his disguise. There were too many cultivators who used spears, and he wasn't the one who created the spear patterns. Moreover, he wasn't the only one who used spear patterns on the battle stage of the Grand Essence Great Meat. At this time Ningqing, after a hard fight, luckily defeated his opponent and advanced to the top 25. Sun Kaixuan still stared at Ningqing from afar. After Ningqing advanced to the top 25, she muttered to herself, "He's not Jihe, definitely not Jihe." The green-robed woman next to Sun Kaixuan looked at Ningqing in disbelief, but when she heard Sun Kaixuan's words, she immediately asked in doubt, "Kaixuan, what did you just say? Did you say he's not Jihe?" Hearing the green-robed woman's question, Sun Kaixuan immediately reacted and quickly replied, No, I didn't say that." But before she could finish, she realized that someone had heard her words and quickly whispered to the green-robed woman, "Shinsai, keep your voice down. Jihe should be someone else in disguise. I believe I'm not mistaken." The green-robed woman called Shinsai screamed, but immediately realized that something was wrong and quickly stopped speaking. Chapter 903. But Shinsai's tone was a little hesitant. She felt that Ji-hee wasn't a fake. She and Ji-hee knew each other very well, and it wasn't the first time she had spoken to Ji-hee. Even after so many years, she could still vaguely remember the aura of Ji-hee's cultivation method. It hadn't changed at all. Not long after the top 25 were decided, Ning Cheng's qualification card lit up again. The row of small words on the qualification card almost made Ning Cheng laugh in surprise. When luck came, it simply couldn't be stopped. The qualification card clearly stated, Ji-hee number 95. This round is a bye. Directly entering the top 13. Ji-hee had a bye this round and directly entered the top 13. It had already been displayed on the array formation display in the Heaven Essence Sacred City's public square. Even some cultivators who didn't know Ji-hee couldn't help but marvel at Ji-hee's luck. He didn't meet any powerful opponents in the first and second rounds, and he even had a bye in the third round. Seeing Ji-hee enter the top 13 with a bye, the green-robed female cultivator standing next to Tsun Kaixien finally voiced out her doubts. Kaixien, Ji-hee's cultivation method aura hasn't changed. Are you overthinking it? After all, it's not impossible to find some opportunities in the Grand Essence Mystic realm. Although Ji-hee's strength has grown a lot stronger than before, he barely wins every time. He's far inferior to ordinary eternal powerhouses. Although Ji-hee entered the top 13, she still felt a little eager for Ji-hee to return to the Tsun clan again. Tsun Kaixien opened her mouth, but couldn't think of a retort. In fact, she also felt that Ji-hee's aura hadn't changed much. The reason why she was so sure that Ji-hee was a fake was because Ji-hee's personality had changed and his strength had soared. Moreover, Ji-hee no longer looked at her with the same infatuation as before. Ji-hee wasn't good with words and looked very dull. However, he was extremely infatuated with her. Sometimes, she could feel Ji-hee's excitement with just a slight smile, or even a slight nod of her head. But Ji-hee, who returned from the mystic realm, never gave her such a feeling again. Even when Guahauga held her hand, Ji-hee's eyes didn't show any fluctuations. Was it really as Shinsai said? Did Ji-hee's personality change? Kaixien, people always change. Guahauga is too despicable. He clearly didn't have such intentions, but he just had to do it for Ji-hee to see. Shinsai suddenly felt angry with Guahauga. If it wasn't for Guahauga, Ji-hee would still be a member of the Tsun family. Tsun Kaixien shook her head. Shinsai, don't talk about Guahauga. He's not what you think. Shinsai knew that Tsun Kaixien was infatuated with Guahauga. Even if she knew that Guahauga was not interested in Tsun Kaixien, she could only shut her mouth. The battle for the top 13 had turned into a head-on battle. Ning Cheng, who was standing on the side watching the fights on the battle platform, knew that if he had not drawn a blank lot, then perhaps he would have had to come up with a part of his strength in order to rush into the top 13. One of the Heaven Essence's 12 sacred children, Kekalushi, met Yining. Although they were both Grand Essence's 12 sacred children, Yin Ying's strength was more than double that of Kekalushi's. Yin Ying's weapon somewhat resembled Ning Cheng's Seven Bridges Realm book, which was also a book. Because his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate into the battle platform, Ning Cheng only knew that Yining had only opened 3 pages of the book when the golden light radiating from the book enveloped Kekalu. Kekalushi also understood that he wasn't Yin Ying's opponent. So after the golden light enveloped him, he immediately admitted defeat. Yin Ying's easy victory over Kekalushi didn't cause much discussion. Everyone felt that it was normal. What Ning Cheng wanted to see the most was the fight between Yining, Lu Yixian, and Aiden. Yining quickly defeated Kekalushi, but Ning Cheng only saw her weapon and didn't see any further moves, which made Ning Cheng feel a little disappointed. Aiden's next opponent was a disciple from the Flaming Feather Spirit Mountain, one of the top 10 sections. Ning Cheng knew Peng Shan and Peng Ruimei from the Flaming Feather Spirit Mountain, but neither of them had come. Aiden's black smoke weapon piqued Ning Cheng's interest. Since Aiden came to the stage, Ning Cheng's eyes had been glued to Aiden's every move. Just when Ning Cheng thought about what Aiden's black smoke was made of, he suddenly felt extremely uncomfortable. It felt as if danger would fall on his head at any time. Ning Cheng subconsciously looked around and found that everyone was paying attention to the fight on the stage. Except for Tsin Saichuan's spiritual consciousness, who stood on the opposite side. From time to time, Ningqing didn't find any danger. Ningqing no longer had the mind to focus on the battle on the stage. Origin Aura was very sensitive to danger, and he didn't feel that his intuition of danger was groundless. Ningqing looked at the several experts on the main stage, and hesitated for a moment before walking over. A fight in the Eternal Realm, even the highest level Eternal Realm fight in the Grand Essence Realm, couldn't attract Dao-confirming powerhouses. As soon as Ningqing came over, several experts on the main stage immediately noticed him. Ningqing always felt that the red-faced, ordinary-looking old man who stood up and spoke first was easier to talk to. Moreover, Ningqing always thought that this old man was stronger than Man Huishan. At this moment, the old man's position was also on the edge of the main stage. Therefore, Ningqing walked up to the old man and bowed to the old man. The old man smiled and nodded to Ningqing. Jihe, you're lucky to get a chance to go to the extraterritorial spirit spring to transform your spirit essence. Remember not to waste this opportunity. The extraterritorial spirit spring isn't a place for ordinary people. The old man with a ruddy face and his ordinary appearance did not ignore Ningqing just because of the disparity in status between him and Ningqing. As such, he did not ignore Ningqing. Hearing the old man's words, Ningqing felt a little puzzled. He had only entered the top 13. Didn't the extraterritorial spirit spring require him to enter the top 10? However, he knew that he didn't come here to ask about this matter, but because of the uneasiness in his heart. Now that the old man took the initiative to speak to him, Ningqing quickly bowed again. Many thanks for senior's encouragement. This junior is just a little worried. Oh, what are you worried about? The old man continued to ask with a smile. Ningqing wanted to hear these words. Now that the old man asked this question, he quickly replied, "Someone just sent me a voice transmission saying that I would die in a while. But I'm participating in the Grand Essence Great Meet. I don't know if I should escape immediately." Ningqing didn't care whether his intuition was true or not. He had to find shelter first. He would rather believe in this kind of dangerous intuition. If the few powerhouses on the main stage couldn't help him, he would give up on the extraterritorial spirit spring no matter how good it was. Humph, who dares to make trouble in the Grand Essence Great Meet? This time, it wasn't the ordinary-looking old man, but a middle-aged female cultivator sitting not far from the old man. Although it was just a cold snort, Ningqing still felt uneasy. He quickly stabilized his mind and spoke, replying to Senior, "Someone indeed sent me a sound transmission a moment ago, telling me to wait, and that they would come to take my life in a moment." No one sent a voice transmission to Ningqing. Ningqing just wanted to find an excuse. If no one came to threaten him, he could say that he had informed the powerhouses hosting the competition in advance. That person didn't dare to show up. If someone showed up, it would allow his strategy to succeed. Ningqing believed that with so many people here, the Sect Alliance's powerhouses would also want to save face. During the Grand Essence Great Meet, this person dared to threaten him with a voice transmission, and then dared to come to the Grand Essence Great Meet's public square to attack him. It was tantamount to slapping the Sect Alliance's face. Most likely, even the sect masters of the top 10 sects wouldn't dare to come here and slap their faces in such a way. Because Ningqing's voice wasn't low, many cultivators around heard Ningqing's words, and many people immediately turned their attention towards him. In any case, Ningqing was one of the top 13 in the Grand Essence Great Meet. Therefore, it was normal for people to pay attention to him. Some cultivators heard Ningqing say that someone sent him a voice transmission saying that they would come to kill him. They felt speechless and even started whispering to each other. Could this kind of voice transmission be trusted? Killing a disciple who entered the top 13 in the Grand Essence Great Meet's public square, even if that disciple was a rogue cultivator, it was impossible. If such a thing happened, then the Grand Essence Great Meet would become a joke. Even if someone wanted to kill you, they wouldn't send a voice transmission to you first. The ruddy-faced old man looked at Ningqing with a meaningful look and showed a warm smile. You can rest assured. At least before you come out of the extraterritorial spirit spring, no one will do anything to you. Jihe would like to thank several seniors. Choosing to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet is the best thing he has done in his life. Ningqing quickly bowed and thanked them on hearing these words. He had already achieved his goal. Whether his hunch was right or not, he should stop here. He had a hunch that this old man saw through his lies. Most likely, no one sent him a voice transmission. Fortunately, this old man didn't care about it, which made Ningqing feel very grateful. Star Stepping Tower's ground floor lobby. Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong were checking out. Wu Qihong's Sea of Consciousness recovered quickly. Plus, Ningqing said that he wouldn't come to the Star Stepping Tower again. Therefore, Xian Xiu felt that they didn't need to stay in such an expensive place. It was better to check out and leave the Heaven Essence Sacred City as soon as possible. If they checked out early, they could only get half of the spirit crystals back. Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong didn't care about it. After all, Ningqing was the one who paid for the spirit crystals. It was already good enough for them to get a refund. Senior Apprentice Sister Xiu. Do you know where eldest senior apprentice brother went? Wu Qihong looked at Xian Xiu returning the rent and asked with some doubts. Xian Xiu sighed and was about to speak when she heard a gasp. Then a figure suddenly solidified in front of her and Wu Qihong. It was a black-robed woman with a veil over her face and a slender figure. Xian Xiu recognized this woman and quickly bowed. Junior Xian Xiu greets Senior Nia. Many thanks for Senior's help last time. Wu Qihong had already heard from Xian Xiu that the Star Stepping Tower's master was a woman surnamed Nia. Moreover, she was very powerful. Now that Xian Xiu bowed, he quickly returned the gesture. The black-robed woman nodded, and her gaze fell on Wu Qihong. After a while she asked in doubt, "Your sea of consciousness shattered. Are you in the process of repairing it?" Chapter 904. Wu Qihong didn't think too much about it and quickly replied, "Yes, Senior, this junior sea of consciousness is indeed in the process of repairing itself." The woman surnamed Nia's eyes flashed with a strange light, and she looked at Wu Qihong for a while before exclaiming, "Good method, good spirit pill. Not only can it repair the sea of consciousness, but it can also boost one's spiritual consciousness and expand the sea of consciousness." Xian Xiu's heart sank when she heard these words. The person who had disguised himself as her eldest senior apprentice brother had told her not to reveal the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. She never expected that someone would notice that her junior apprentice brother's sea of consciousness was in the process of repairing itself. If she had known about this, she would have stayed here for a while longer before leaving. The black-robed woman apparently saw Xian Xiu's hesitation and worry and spoke up with a slightly cold tone. "Take out the medicinal pill and let me have a look." Without any imposing aura pressure, just a few words, Xian Xiu couldn't help but shudder. She even wanted to take out the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills. But she quickly sobered up and bowed again. "Please forgive me, Senior. I promised the person who gave me the medicinal pill that I would not give it to others." The black-robed woman snorted. "I can turn you to ashes with a raise of my hand, and I can still take your medicinal pill. I can also search your soul. With your cultivation, you won't be able to hide anything. I promise that even if I kill you, no one from Heaven Essence Sacred City will come looking for me." Xian Xiu pursed her lips and didn't say a word. Ningqing was her junior apprentice brother Qihong's savior. Even if this black-robed woman could easily search her soul, she wouldn't say anything. Although Xian Xiu had low strength, she would never betray her savior. Seeing Xian Xiu not say a word despite using a soul search, the black-robed woman felt a little strange. She had seen too many cultivators who could abandon everything in order to survive. But today, seeing such a principled cultivator, she felt a little touched. The black-robed woman asked with a slow tone, "You don't want to say anything just because you promised someone?" Xian Xiu felt slightly relieved when she saw that the black-robed woman didn't immediately attack her. She bowed again and replied, "I never betray my savior. Even if Senior wants to attack, this junior won't say anything." "That person saved your life?" the black-robed woman asked with a frown. "No, you saved my junior brother's life." Xianxiu's words allowed the black-robed woman to understand. The life-saving grace that Xianxiu was talking about should be that person taking out a pill to repair her junior brother's sea of consciousness. If you don't tell me, I can kill your junior brother right now. The black-robed woman frowned. Instead, Xianxiu's tone calmed down. If I betray my savior in order to live, junior brother, and I won't be able to live in peace. If my junior brother dies, I can die with him. He won't blame me. Yes, senior apprentice Sister Xiu. I'd rather die again than live on. Wu Qihong, on hearing the black-robed woman's questioning of his eldest senior apprentice brother, spoke with the same resolute tone. When the black-clothed woman heard the words of this pair of apprentice sisters, she was a little startled. In this world where there was only the law of the jungle, where only the strong were respected, she actually met such a pair of senior and junior brothers. An inexplicable sense of shame rose in her heart. Once upon a time, she could die for the person she loved. Once upon a time, she also had this kind of happiness. But she destroyed all of it with her own hands. Not only did she plot against her savior, but she also plotted against the person she truly loved. She never thought that she, who once feared death, would end up doing something that made her feel endless regret. Just for that illusory promise, just for the position that she didn't want to think about again. When she saw him again, she saw that his strength was far from what she could reach even if she racked her brains. A crack appeared in her Dao heart, and it could never be restored. Even if she desperately found a planar splitting talisman, and left the place that made her regret her actions, the wound in her heart would never heal. Although her strength grew stronger and stronger, there was always a scar in her Dao heart. She knew very well that this was the end of her life. The black-robed woman's mind wandered, but Xianxiu and Wu Qihong didn't dare to leave, and still stood respectfully in front of her. After a long time, the black-robed woman finally recovered. She sighed and spoke with a soft tone. The person you're talking about is your elder brother Ji, right? Back then, I helped him in this place. Xianxiu, on hearing the black-robed woman reveal the identity of the person who gave her the pill, suddenly felt a sense of powerlessness. The black-robed woman didn't threaten Xianxiu again and spoke with a calm voice. You can rest assured that I won't do anything to your elder brother Ji. Just let me see the pill. No matter what, I will do what I say. Xianxiu didn't continue to resist. The other party already knew the origin of the pill, so it didn't make any sense for her to object. She took out a jade bottle containing 4 Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills from her ring, and handed it to the black-robed woman. The black-robed woman nodded to Xianxiu, opened the jade bottle, and poured a pill into her hand. When her gaze fell on the transparent pill in her hand, a faint fragrance permeated into her sea of consciousness. She hadn't swallowed the pill yet, but her sea of consciousness had already turned clear, and a trace of a powerful aura filled her sea of consciousness. The black-robed woman's face immediately turned excited. She had never seen a pill that could help one's spiritual consciousness and sea of consciousness so much. Moreover, this pill was also useful to her. This was a very precious pill that ignored one's cultivation. Most of the pills that ignored cultivation were used for healing. However, this pill was useful to one's cultivation. Moreover, it even targeted one's sea of consciousness. Her Dao heart had a scar on it, causing her cultivation to stagnate. Every time she wanted to advance, her sea of consciousness would always feel a little weak. Therefore, the benefits of this pill for her were not ordinary. It was naturally impossible to use this pill to repair her Dao heart, but this pill could definitely help her cultivation take another step forward. After hesitating for a moment, the black-robed woman still handed the jade bottle to Xianxiu. Xianxiu took the jade bottle with apprehension, and once again called out "Senior." The black-robed woman took a deep breath and tried to calm down her tone before speaking. I said that I wouldn't do anything to your elder brother Ji. However, this pill is also useful to me, so I want to make a deal with him. You can rest assured that if he doesn't agree to the deal, then just forget about what I said. Xianxiu felt slightly relieved and spoke up carefully. Senior, if elder brother Ji doesn't agree to the deal, then he definitely doesn't have this pill. I still have 4 medicinal pills here, which I can give to Senior. The black-robed woman showed a slight smile. You also call me Senior. Even if I wanted these 4 medicinal pills, I wouldn't ask you to give them to me. You tell me where that elder brother Ji went, and I'll trade with him. If he really doesn't have it, I'll trade with you. Xian Xiu sighed in her heart. She knew that even if she didn't say it, this black-robed woman could easily find her elder brother Ji. Now that the black-robed woman asked about it, she didn't hesitate. I'm not sure where elder brother Ji went, but I guess he might have gone to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet. A Tao sculpting pill deity has the strength to participate in the Grand Essence Great Meet? The black-robed woman muttered to herself in doubt. Tao sculpting pill deity? Xian Xiu asked in surprise. She knew that Ning Cheng should be a pill emperor, but there were too few pill deities. Was this Tao sculpting pill deity, who disguised himself as Ji He, a Tao sculpting pill deity? The black-robed woman pointed to the jade bottle in Xian Xiu's hand and said, to refine this pill, one must at least be a Tao sculpting pill deity. This pill ignores one's cultivation. It's not of a high grade, but it's extremely precious. You really can't take it out casually. Ning Cheng got the assurance from the several powerhouses presiding over the competition. Although he still felt a little nervous, he felt a little better than before. He only hoped that it was just an illusion. Ning Cheng's hope only lasted for half an incense stick worth of time when a majestic aura pressed down on the Heaven Essence public square. Those with weaker cultivations even felt an illusion under this majestic aura. As long as this aura continued for a while, their minds would collapse. At this moment, almost everyone looked up at the sky. This kind of aura could only be suppressed by a second-step Tao confirming expert. Ning Cheng's heart sank when he felt this powerful aura. This person hadn't even arrived yet, but he already knew who it was. It was definitely Man Huishan. His intuition wasn't wrong. There really was danger. What made him feel a little relieved was that Man Huishan had used the wrong method. If he hadn't warned Man Huishan in advance, Man Huishan's method would have been the correct one. This was a show of strength to tell all the powerhouses in the Heaven Essence public square how strong he, Man Huishan, was. Anyone who wanted to go against him, Man Huishan, would have to pay a certain price. According to Ning Cheng's conjecture, after Man Huishan showed his strength, he would leave a way out in front of the several powerhouses presiding over the Grand Essence Great Meet. He even had a very respectful attitude towards the hosts, giving face to the powerhouses hosting the tournament in front of the mini cultivators. He would first show his strength so that people wouldn't fall out with him. Then he would lower his stance and leave a way out before taking Ning Cheng away. It's just that he didn't expect Ning Cheng to warn him in advance. If the Grand Essence Great Meet's presiding powerhouses threw him out under such circumstances, he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. The middle-aged female cultivator, who had previously scolded Ning Cheng and said who had the guts to come to the Grand Essence Great Meet and cause trouble, immediately stood up. Not only her, but the other Tao-confirming powerhouses on the main stage also stood up. The old man with a ruddy face and a pleasant expression frowned slightly. He was sure that Ning Cheng hadn't received any threatening voice transmission. But now, someone really came over and told everyone in such a domineering manner. Did Man Huishan come here for Ji He? Holy Emperor Barbarian Dragon, what do you mean by this? The middle-aged female cultivator stared at Man Huishan, who had fallen from the sky, and spoke with an unhappy tone. However, she secretly felt shocked at Man Huishan's strength. This kind of oppressive aura definitely surpassed hers. Man Huishan instantly converged his oppressive aura, and cupped his fists towards the several powerhouses on the stage with a smile on his face. I'm really sorry. It's because I felt the passion of the younger generation fighting that I felt a bit of resonance in my heart. In a hurry, I couldn't suppress this enthusiasm. It's truly a shame. Man Huishan would like to express his apologies to all the senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters. Man Huishan's politeness and humbleness in his tone and posture immediately eased the pressure on the several powerhouses presiding over the stage. The strength Man Huishan showed that he was a powerhouse among powerhouses. Now that Man Huishan took the initiative to humble himself, no one dared to take the initiative to confront Man Huishan. You're tuning in to the Lime's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.